Chapter 488. Within the divine spiritual mountain ranges restricted area, there were as many experts as there were clouds. However, they were all gathered in the outer regions. Within this vast restricted area, there were unknown dangers. Currently, many powers were still observing and didn't dare to rashly charge in. The main reason was that the restricted area was too dangerous. There were too many damaged ancient formations, and they could often see blood staining the heavens. Although it was very dangerous, the news of a treasure trove being opened had already spread. There was even news of a suspected saintly medicine appearing, which caused the eyes of various elites to turn red. The restricted areas were extremely dangerous, but the opportunities were great. Any gains from them would be incredible. Big news. A peerless precious bone has appeared, and it's suspected to be the precious bone of an almighty being. It's causing a chaotic battle between experts. The precious bone of an almighty being. When news of this spread, the old experts of various races couldn't sit still any longer and charged in one after another. First of all, it was a precious bone of an almighty being. It was an extraordinary material that could be refined into a supreme treasure. It was even rumored that a single drop of the almighty being's blood was like a small universe that could suppress deities. In short, all kinds of legends were extremely terrifying. The almighty beings almost never appeared in the starry seas of the cosmos. In the era where the almighty beings were in seclusion, the divine king was naturally an unrivaled giant. Every great power had a divine king overseeing it, intimidating the world. The almighty beings were aloof and remote. They were the true giants of the cosmos. They could split heaven and earth apart and create a small world at will. Then, as long as there were treasures related to the almighty beings, the peak powers wouldn't be able to sit still and fight over them. If they could obtain the almighty being's weapon, then that would be a true development. Even for the peak powers, this was a heavenly opportunity. The appearance of the precious bone of an almighty being caused large amounts of people to rush out from various regions of the divine spiritual mountain range to kill their way into the restricted area. Why are there so many people? Suyin still didn't know about the almighty being's precious bone. However, as soon as they set out from the Great Canyon and walked for a while, they encountered many cultivators who were roaming this dark red land. This place was extremely dangerous. The power of heaven and earth was filled with the aura of death. The fluctuations that assaulted their faces made them tremble from the bottom of their hearts. It was as if there was an endless source of fear hibernating in all directions. It made all the experts' hair stand on end, and they didn't dare move too quickly. The boundless restricted area was extremely chaotic. A few unlucky people who touched a few dangerous areas would give birth to a large area of death. All kinds of bloody light drilled out from the ground, and a large area was shaken to death. Oh my God, let's go. This is not a place we can barge into. Many cultivators were shocked. This place was too vicious, and the slightest bit of carelessness would result in one's body being smashed to pieces. The earth veins produced a fiendish aura that could easily erupt. The dark red land was vast and endless, and the air was gray. It was very easy for people to get lost here. Once they stepped into the forbidden area, it would be very difficult to get out safely. There are many unstable factors here. Who knows how many gods died in the last universe era? Once we act rashly, the situation will become even more dangerous. Suyin frowned and looked around. He didn't know what had caused so many cultivators to barge in. Perhaps some secret realm had been unearthed, causing them to lose their minds and barge in. It's said to be the precious bone of a powerful being. Baokai stretched out its big round head and listened to the surroundings. It said excitedly, "Precious bone of a powerful being. I wonder if there are any cave dwellings left behind by a powerful being." No wonder they charged in without caring about their lives. The value of a powerful being's precious bone is immeasurable. If it is preserved completely, it can be exchanged for a divine weapon. These weren't empty words, and it was most likely true. There were always brave men in front of great treasures. A few cultivators who were stuck at the Quasi-Dao realm and couldn't break, through also mustered their courage to barge in to try their luck. Let's hurry over and take a look. I hope we can still make it in time. The miser urged. Su Yan rushed towards his destination. Along the way, he saw many corpses. Too many people had died, and corpses were strewn everywhere. In this dusky world, Su Yan also saw many creatures with powerful auras. Here, a punitive expedition had taken place. Some had secretly attacked the heavily injured experts, causing this area to become extremely chaotic. Killing was everywhere, and shouts of killing shook the heavens. Hurry up and leave. Let's see who dares to escape. The only outcome is death. Vicious auras surged. Su Yan saw a group of underworld cultivators driving away a group of slaves. These slaves were the cultivators who had been suppressed by the underworld experts. Now, they were being used by the underworld experts as tools to pave the way for them. The group of slaves was furious, but they didn't dare speak. Many of them had already been killed. Some of them were uneasy and terrified. Pave the way for them would almost certainly lead to death. Some of them had mistakenly entered the killing trap and were completely pulverized. A rain of blood sprinkled down from the void. This was a mysterious energy that had gathered in the void all year round. Today, it descended and crushed a group of slaves to death. I can't take it anymore. The slaves were so scared that their scalps exploded. They turned around and ran. The people who had just died were right in front of them. They almost lost their lives. You're all courting death. The underworld expert's expression was gloomy. He stretched out his palm, and a large black hand covered the sky. Black clouds surged from his palm and enveloped the escaping slaves. He wanted to slap them to death. What kind of aura is this? In the distant world, many people cried out in alarm. They had sensed an abnormally terrifying fluctuation awakening. The next moment, the earth and mountains shook as divine light overflowed into the sky. The energy wave's impact was astonishing. It seemed as if the forbidden area was about to be overturned. Look, some people cried out loudly. They pointed forward at the end of the horizon. A blazing figure soared into the sky. His battle constitution was too powerful. The aura he emitted evaporated the dusky mist. He was like an awakening martial god. Divine light erupted from his body and rushed into the heavens. How terrifying! The spectators all turned pale. The blood essence at the end of the horizon was like smoke signals. Golden light poured down like a waterfall. It was as if a great sun was burning, radiating out in a radius of 1,000 li. Solar fist. Some cultivators from the Cosmos Business Alliance turned pale. This was their race's solar fist. Could it be that the Purple Jade King had taken action? However, the Purple Jade King didn't come here to join the fun. Miserable shrieks exploded. Everyone was shocked. A group of cultivators with ferocious auras were disintegrated under a fist that was as strong as the sun. Su Yan's aura could swallow rivers and mountains. He blasted out with a fist. He struck out with his peak foundation and blasted apart this group of underworld cultivators. The rippling blood essence fluctuations caused the nearby cultivators to feel a chill all over their bodies. Many thanks, Grandpa Su. A group of slaves knelt down and cowed out. They crawled up and ran, not willing to stay a moment longer. The one who took action was shockingly Su Yan. He couldn't stand these underworld cultivators. He blasted a large group of them to death as soon as he took action, leaving behind a group of stunned spectators. Afterwards, their hearts trembled incessantly. They speculated that the one who erupted with thunderous might was most likely Madman Su. Madman Su has also come. I wonder if he'll fight with the experts from the other great powers. He definitely will. Wherever Madman Su is, there are definitely unsettled elements. This terrifying leader is a ruthless character. Last time, too many creatures died in the land of the Earth Vein fire source. Half a month ago, the demon realm also suffered disastrous losses at his hands. Even the Pung race's Overlord had to nurse a grievance. Madman Su is too insolent. He's only one person, so what gives him the confidence to challenge the peak powers? There was a lot of discussion in the surroundings. However, The fact that Su Yin had killed this group of underworld cultivators with a single punch made them tremble in fear. This was the demeanor of a peerless hero. Once a cultivator with great potential like Su Yin rose up, he could be called a king of his generation. He left without making a big fuss. It seems like he's also aiming for the Supreme Being's precious bone. Let's go, we'll follow him. We'll follow Madman Su Yin and take a look. When the terrifying aura that filled the end of the area left, everyone let out a sigh of relief. However, Su Yan's aura still filled the area. Some of the old experts lost their colors and secretly said, "There really is no justice in this world. Even the speed of a defeated person can rush out. Why doesn't my race have such an outstanding person?" Su Yan, a cultivator from the Tuoba family, was here. His expression was uncertain. He felt that Su Yan's deterrence was a little terrifying. Just now, he had attacked forcefully here, but no one stood out. This meant that the current Su Yan was no longer someone that ordinary experts dared to challenge. In this world where the strong were respected, the strong were the absolute truth. The deeper they rushed in, the fewer cultivators there were. However, those who could come here were all experts among experts. The divine spiritual mountain range is really getting more and more lively. Su Yin sensed his surroundings and sensed powerful creatures one after another. Without a doubt, these people were not weak. They were probably the heroes of the younger generation who had broken through to the great Tao realm. The era of geniuses rising together had already opened a corner of the divine spiritual mountain range. Boom! A loud sound spread far and wide, shaking the surroundings. The world ahead was a little bloody. Energy fluctuations swept out, shaking tens of thousands of mountains. The world was filled with an oppressive aura. All kinds of energy storms were transmitted from the depths of the forbidden area. These were the waves of a great battle. Su Yin sensed it from far away. Hundreds of experts were fighting, and their battle prowess was extremely terrifying. It's just ahead. Let's go. I hope we can make it in time. Su Yin and the others quickly crossed the broken and repaired territory. The battle here was very bitter. Corpses and blood were everywhere, and there were also cultivators struggling at death's door. The smell of blood was very heavy. Su Yin raised his guard. However, when they were about to reach their destination, Su Yan's face darkened. Some experts had already retreated, cursing along the way. "Damn, we're late," Tai Baokai said with a darkened face. "The Supreme Being's precious bone has been snatched away." Long K stopped an expert and asked. Someone said, "We don't know whose hands it has fallen into. Let's leave quickly. It's very dangerous ahead. Sun Dome and King Flash have arrived." Su Yin was shocked. It attracted the star domain's supreme beings of two peak powers. That meant that the natural luck hadn't ended yet. Let's go and take a look. For it to attract these types of people, I reckon an incredible treasury has appeared, Tai Baokai urged. They were going to search through all of the forbidden areas to find the whereabouts of the Great Tao Mountain and the damaged ancestral vein. That was why they would choose to barge into every single forbidden area. Su Yin crossed over. When he was about to reach the source, his heart trembled endlessly. Goosebumps rose all over his body. "Be careful." Su Yin brought out the immortal iron staff. He opened his martial Tao heavenly eye and saw a scene that he would never forget. A great earthquake was produced in the dusky world. This was even more majestic than the rumbling of a tsunami. It was like a great sea that ran through the universe, surging with surging waves, smashing into the great universe until it cried out endlessly. The great Tao here was damaged, the aura of destruction pervading the air. It was like a broken small world, but the surging waves were exceptionally terrifying. It was because these were waves formed from countless skeletons. What kind of blasted place is this? Tai Baotsai's hair stood on end. He was so frightened that he jumped high into the air. He squatted on Tai Baotsai's back, crushing him until he almost breathed his last. Chapter 489. This sudden scene made the experts who were currently fighting feel chill run down their spines from head to toe. They all stopped and stopped fighting. All of the cultivators looked towards the scene at the end. Even the fine hairs of the great Tao realm experts stood on end, great fear rising within their hearts. The boundless corpses formed a boundless sea of bones. The waves were magnificent and terrifying beyond compare. The endless ruined bones seemed to have life. They were shining, releasing a bitter aura that was about to collapse the heavens, making the world change color. This is too frightening. The precious bones of a supreme being floated out from within. What kind of place is this exactly? Many people's hearts trembled. The precious bones of a supreme being floated out precisely from the restricted region, and there were even other ruined bones. This led to quite a few experts entering the restricted region. Now that such a great commotion was stirred up, those people should have all fallen. Perhaps they were the ones who drew out such a horrifying scene. Could it be the struggle for supremacy in the last great era? Numerous deities fell, their corpses piling up like mountains. Someone said this, making the miser shake his head. He felt that this was impossible. There was no way the divine mountain range could gather so many cultivators. That sea of bones was like the ruined bones of millions and millions of creatures gathered together, forming a type of super powerful restricted region. In short, the sea of bones was full of mysteries and terror, but they didn't rush out. It was like a sea of bones that surged over from prehistoric times, shaking 10,000 stars. Perhaps if it really rushed out, it might be able to crush the entire divine mountain range. This can't be the reason why the divine mountain range collapsed, right? Someone said with shock. If this scene was spread out, would the divine king believe it? We are actually witnesses. Who knows if this is some type of super battlefield where countless creatures fell, forming a sea of bones over time. How is that possible? What kind of great battle could form an endless sea of bones? I don't think that's possible. Since there are precious bones of a supreme being, this means that a supreme being fell in the sea of bones. The experts gathered here discussed spiritedly, no one daring to approach. This sea of bones also seemed like it didn't exist in this world. It surged and roared, waves surging, endless ruined bones shining. It was as if a universe had collapsed, millions and millions of creatures falling, gathering into a sea of bones. Suyan's entire body broke out in cold sweat. What kind of great battle could cause casualties to reach this level? Were star domains destroyed one after another? He didn't think so, because these ruined bones were all very powerful, like some kind of super powerful army. But how powerful an army was it to form such a world-shocking scene? How long? Suddenly, two types of terrifying auras effused out, and they were grand to the extreme. It was like gods that carried the weight of the world had awakened, and a myriad of strands of the glow of the grand Tao surged out explosively and pierced through the sky. The two peak experts of the younger generation erupted. They could be called young supreme beings. Above each sun, 9 heavenly suns, 9 great artifacts. Coupled with Yang Xiong's terrifying fighting prowess and his godly spirit armor, he was armed to the teeth. He looked like a giant of a younger generation as he rushed into the sea of bones. On the other side, the Lightning King also let out a long roar. Thunder roared, and a destructive aura spread out. His body glowed like a sea of lightning. Lightning bolts as thick as mountains shot out from his body. His aura was extremely terrifying. Behind him, a miniature of the divine firmament star region appeared. He also had a thunder hammer. It was the divine firmament star region's most precious treasure, the hammer of the divine firmament star region. It was an inherited weapon of the divine firmament star region. Some were strong, some were weak. Although the thunder hammer he had was a replica, it was still forged by a god. Sun Dome and King Flash have made their move. Are they going to cross into the sea of bones? The experts gathered here all turned pale. They were too bold. They dared to charge in with such a big force. Weren't they afraid of dying miserably? What was even more surprising was that Yang Xiong and the Lightning King had actually joined forces. Their auras were too ferocious. Two peak star domain supremes had joined forces and forcibly opened up a passage. They broke through the broken bones and charged into the sea of bones. Look, the scene of the sea of bones turned the onlookers pale. There were many ruined weapons floating in the vast sea of bones. Heavens, are these divine weapons? Are they all fragments of divine weapons? I saw an incomplete primal chaos treasure book. Is there some kind of shocking inheritance recorded in it? I see a pill furnace. It's still in good condition. There seems to be a 10,000-year-old medicinal liquid shining inside. Heavens, there are endless immortal treasures here. They have ancient origins. The experts gathered here were surprised and delighted. There were many ruined weapons with terrifying auras floating in the air. Some pill furnaces glowed as they were filled with medicinal liquid. There are also damaged primal chaos treasure books. There was no doubt that the ruined weapons that could survive in the sea of bones were extraordinary. If they could obtain one, it would be a great opportunity. Some of the bones were even terrifying. They were blazing like the heavens. They were like the bones of gods and demons. They were interwoven with countless laws of the great Tao. Almighty treasured bones. Many people went crazy. Their eyes turned red as they madly rushed in. They wanted to break into the Emperor's Sea. Su Yin, Tai Baokai, and Yi Yuan. The three brothers of Earth looked at each other with serious expressions. The moment the Sea of Bones was lifted, their blood was boiling and burning. Boom! A terrifying emotion attracted them and seemed to be calling out to them. The Sea of Bones was filled with a demonic nature. It was calling out to them as if the experts of the burial region had fallen here. It was emitting a demonic nature and calling out to them to charge forward. You guys stay here. I'll go. Su Yin immediately put on the silver divine armor and activated the force armor. He brought out the immortal iron staff and grasped the 6 great Tao divine weapons. Su Yin could be said to be armed to the teeth. He used the earth shrinking technique to cross into the sea of bones. Be careful, Yi Yuan reminded him worriedly. They couldn't enter. Only those at the great Tao realm had a chance of survival. As soon as he arrived, Su Yin let out a great roar. The Sea of Bones pressure was too heavy. This was only the border region, but it was as if it had experienced the suppression of millions of layers of ruined bones. Even the divine armor was rumbling. Some people broke apart. They exploded as soon as they entered, splashing blood into the heavens. The cultivators who were about to charge forward trembled. They saw that the endless bones were filled with demonic nature. They absorbed the spilled blood and vaguely felt the bones become stronger after absorbing the fresh blood. Charge! Let's join hands and kill our way in. This is a rare opportunity. Some people were very jealous because Sun Dome and King Flash had joined hands. They charged in and took away some of the ruined weapons. These were likely divine weapons. Even if they were damaged, they were still very valuable. But Sun Dome and King Flash weren't satisfied. Their goal wasn't the ruined weapons, but some damaged treasure books. This was the most important thing. It was likely that they would find a prehistoric divine ability that had been lost for countless years. It might also record some lost secret technique or inheritance. Force armor. Su Yan's eyes turned red. He saw badly damaged silver force armor. It was stained with blood and emitted an extremely ancient aura. Su Yan rushed over and tried to take the force armor away. Although the force armor was damaged, it was not that badly damaged. Wong, Su Yan's earth-shrinking technique and immortal phoenix wings allowed his speed to soar. He shook off many cultivators and took away some of the ruined weapons. He didn't know how much they were worth. The force armor was of great help to Su Yan. It was a strategic weapon of the burial region. Su Yan didn't want to give up this opportunity. He was very fast and was almost at the force armor. The silver force armor had many holes, sword marks, and saber marks. It was stained with blood and looked badly damaged. In fact, Su Yan found that the damage didn't affect the force armor strength. This surprised him. Sun Dome was surprised that someone could catch up. His eyes were cold. He waved his hand and opened it towards Su Yan. He wanted to take the force armor. Sun Dome, Su Yan, who was about to grab the force armor, suddenly felt his face darken. Although the hand looked gentle and calm, it contained an air current that could burn mountains and boil seas. It was as if the hand had opened up a new dimension. Su Yin could feel the pressure, even though he was far away. Dong! Su Yin grabbed the force armor with one hand and waved Sun Dome's hand with the other. Boom! The fist and palm collided, and the sound was deafening. The cultivators behind were shocked. They found that Su Yin had blocked Sun Dome's hand. Who was this person? How could he be so strong? It's you. Sun Dome's face was gloomy. He saw Su Yin and was surprised that Su Yin could block his attack. Although it was a casual attack, it was still blocked by Su Yin. Don't waste time with these bugs. Let's go in. King Flash let out a low growl. He did not treat Su Yin as an expert in the same field as him. What a star domain supreme. Su Yin's body was numb. He had suffered internal injuries. When he was fighting with Yang Qiong earlier, he clearly felt that Yang Qiong was like a terrifying abyss. The aura he emitted could burn mountains and boil seas, which made Su Yin feel like he was melting. After exchanging blows with such a person, Su Yin could feel how strong the strongest of the younger generation was. How strong were the North Demon and the others? What kind of field were the Celestial Supremes in? Sun Dome was not the strongest of the younger generation. There were people stronger than him. Su Yin had already obtained the force armor and kept it in his spatial treasure. He wanted to charge forward again. It was time to collect other treasures. Su Yin's expression changed. He felt the sea of bones was filled with anger. It was as if they had broken in and disturbed the peace here, angering the sea of bones. Come back. Tai Baokai was shocked. He felt like the sea of bones was like a giant beast opening its bloody mouth, about to swallow Su Yin and the others. Go! Su Yin's expression changed as well. He retreated frantically. Before he left, he could faintly see the end of the sea of bones. There was a blurry figure sitting cross-legged. It was also a skeleton, but its body was as tall as a mountain. The skeleton seemed to be alive. When it breathed, the stars in the sky trembled. How terrifying was this? As it breathed, the endless bones in the sea of bones glowed, overturning the source of energy. It made all the cultivators who broke and tremble. Many experts exploded. They could not withstand this power. Su Yin vomited a mouthful of blood. Fortunately, he had run quickly and avoided the most dangerous area. However, it was as if he had been struck by 10,000 mountains. His footsteps staggered, and he was about to be killed by the countless broken bones. Chapter 490. Su Yin felt a headache coming on. He channeled his strongest power to break free from the suppression coming from afar and ran as fast as he could. When he turned around, he saw the sea of bones rising and falling with waves. Every wave could shake the heavens and break through the clouds. The moment they rushed into the starry sky, they began to sweep downwards. It was as if a boundless divine power was rushing towards the earth, spreading a terrifying aura that overflowed the sky. It was also as if millions of divine skeletons were falling to the ground. Every skeleton was filled with mysterious power. The endless skeletons glowed, and their auras combined together to seal everything, making it impossible for any life form to escape. Some experts cried out miserably. It was very difficult for them to resist the endless power of broken bones falling from the sky. Their bodies trembled as their bodies collapsed. Even their primordial spirits couldn't escape and were beaten into a pile of ashes. There were also many items that were disintegrated. The power of these skeletons was too strong, causing the experts who rushed in to lose control. They frantically ran for their lives, but on the way, they all died in the sea of bones. I have to leave quickly. The bloody scene caused Su Yin to let out a muffled roar. He erupted with all his power, reviving his force armor and godly spirit battle armor to forcibly break free from the suppression of the broken bones. Even so, Su Yan's movements were still relatively slow. He gritted his teeth and ran madly. During this process, he was constantly struck by the power of the broken bones. Fortunately, Su Yin was armed to the teeth and had the godly spirit battle armor to protect his body. This level of difficulty was not enough to threaten his life. Isn't that Madman Sue? He actually came too. Look, even Madman Sue, who killed the Pung race's overlord, is having a hard time. This is too dangerous. Fortunately, we didn't choose to kill our way in. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. No need to think. We will definitely die in there. This shocking scene caused the spectators to suck in a breath of cold air. Even Sundome and King Flash were met with bloody suppression. There was a tendency for them to stay in the sea of bones. Fortunately, they were strong enough. The two experts worked together to cross to the outside world. Sundome and King Flash rejoiced as well, because the movements in the depths of the Bone Sea were the most terrifying. They could feel an ancient aura coming from the depths, and they felt that even if a god went in, it would be difficult to come out alive. It was easy to imagine how dangerous it was. No matter how strong the two of them were, they couldn't surpass deities. Even the size of the Bone Sea was still unknown. As the Sea of Bones continued to rise and fall, the broken artifacts floating above the endless broken bones also started to glow. They were filled with all sorts of prehistoric auras, suppressing the starry seas of the universe. Everything always became chaotic, as if a world-destroying flood was surging angrily. Terrifying waves surged, striking the starry skies, even shaking down a few great stars in the universe. More and more people died. Almost all of those who had barged in had died. The young great Tao Realm experts all died in the Sea of Bones, letting out roars of despair and unwillingness. In the future, they would be peak experts in the universe. But now, they were buried in the Sea of Bones for no reason. How could they be willing to accept this? Some people were thinking, could it be that cultivators in the past had mistakenly entered this place and were killed and left behind corpses? Su Yin let out a long roar, the blood and energy in his body surging. The divine battle armor he was wearing shone. He was about to escape, but he was hit by the waves that swept over. His heart ached because the set of divine weapons he had obtained from Zhu Yong had been shattered. This made Su Yin so angry that his face darkened. The value of this set of weapons was no less than 30,000 kilograms of heavenly essence stone, and it was destroyed just like that. This really made his heart ache. Even the silver divine battle armor Su Yin wore was distorted, as if this divine battle armor was about to shatter. This made Su Yin pale with shock. One could imagine the power of the Bone Sea. It could even erase divine battle armor. The moment Su Yin was about to rush into the entrance of the Bone Sea, joy surged in his eyes. He saw that in the waves of broken bones that were rushing towards him, there was a broken red jade slip. Su Yin resisted the tremendous pressure and let out a shout. He tore open the sky with his bare hands. Just as Su Yin's palm reached inside, he felt a piercing pain in his palm. Even with the divine battle armor protecting his palm still felt like it was going to explode uncontrollably. Su Yin was overwhelmed with shock. His scalp went numb. This was too fierce. These bones were filled with an indescribable energy. Even the divine battle armor couldn't defend against it. Su Yin roared loudly. He endured the intense pain and scooped up the incomplete jade slip. This was very likely to be a shocking divine ability because the moment he held the scarlet jade slip, he felt an extremely ancient airflow. It was like a kind of dense, savage aura that had been deposited for many years and could not be measured. Su Yin was both delighted and shocked. Then his heart trembled. He discovered that his entire palm was badly mangled and was about to turn into a skeletal hand. It was too painful. However, Su Yin also ran out. The Bone Sea was only operating in a limited space and didn't spread outside. Otherwise, this forbidden area would have sunk in and couldn't withstand the Benicia's world-destroying power. Let's go. Miser called out to them. He was afraid that the Bone Sea would continue to riot and spread to even more distant territories. At that time, it would be too late for them to leave even if they wanted to. Let's go. Su Yin didn't care about the injuries on his body. He also quickly retreated. Before he left, he glanced back at the depths of the Bone Sea. He could faintly see that blurry and tall figure breathing. It was as if because of its breathing, the Bone Sea was rioting, rising up and down, creating terrifying waves. What the hell is this? Su Yan's hair stood on end and goosebumps appeared all over his body. Why did he feel that this terrifying skeleton had surpassed a major existence? Su Yan saw that in the area where the skeleton was, the order of the Great Tao was being reorganized amidst the explosions, turning into a universe that belonged to him. What kind of expert can have such methods? Su Yan naturally couldn't understand. He hadn't even stepped into the Great Tao realm yet. This unimaginable majesty of the Li was too far away from Su Yan. He could only look up to it. Su Yan and the others didn't dare to stay here for too long. They fled to the horizon and disappeared into the dusky world. As for the spectators, they were all scared silly. Su Yan had escaped, and Sun Dome and King Flash had also followed closely behind. However, the rest of the people had all died inside. Cold sweat appeared on the foreheads of some experts. Fortunately, they hadn't walked in just now. Otherwise, their fates would definitely be the same as theirs. It would be impossible for them to come out alive. Not a single person came out alive. This is simply a demonic land. The danger level seems to be about the same as the legendary Chaos Ruins. Someone felt that even the Divine King wouldn't have a good ending if he barged in. It was filled with the unknown and inauspicious. They didn't know how strong the Chaos Ruins were. They had never been there before. That place was a super strong forbidden zone that would make even the gods' faces change when they talked about it. Where is Su Yan? Sun Dome and King Flash had just charged out, and their faces were gloomy. The sea of bones had been torn apart by them together, but Su Yan had taken away two things, two mysterious treasures that they couldn't see through. He has left. Someone walked up and replied respectfully. Then they saw that Sun Dome and King Flash were both injured. They were all speechless. Even two great peak experts were injured. This sea of bones was really too savage. He has left? Who allowed him to leave? King Flash flew into a rage. His whole body was covered in 10,000 streaks of lightning that revolved violently around him. The shockwave caused the blood of those around him to boil. They all retreated in unison, and some people even had blood flowing out of the corners of their mouths. These people who had suffered losses didn't dare to breathe loudly. Under King Flash's fury, the winds and clouds changed, and lightning and thunder rumbled. This Su Yan's guts. He took away a red jade slip. It's very likely that some lost divine ability is inscribed inside. King Flash's tone was furious. He shouted, "Who allowed him to leave? Did he get my permission?" Lost divine ability. Sun Dome's expression wasn't good either. It was common knowledge that many great divine abilities had been lost in history. It was likely that some great divine abilities had been placed in the present. They weren't inferior to the secret techniques of the heavens. King Flash and Sun Dome's expressions weren't good either. After all, they were peak figures of the younger generation. They had barged in and only obtained some broken weapons. They had no use for these things. They only wanted to obtain some precious divine abilities and secret techniques to perfect their own foundations. But they had failed. Instead, Su Yan had scooped up a treasure book. It was impossible for them to barge into the Bone Sea again. The two great experts looked around with gloomy expressions. They wanted to steal the red book and study its contents. Perhaps they could judge the value of the Bone Sea and how many treasures were there. They might even be able to trace back to the time when the Bone Sea was born. After all, the scene in the Bone Sea was truly unimaginable. Sun Dome and King Flash were two Starry Star Field Supreme figures. Even they had never heard of such a killing situation in the godly mountain range. However, Su Yan had long since disappeared without a trace. It was very difficult to dig someone out from this forbidden area. It seems like the Bone Sea didn't continue to riot. Dragon Sparrow said, with lingering fear, "I really don't know how the Bone Sea was formed. Could the broken bones inside be the bones of experts?" Su Yan wasn't sure either. Although he had barged in, he hadn't stayed for long. Su Yan didn't know if the scene he saw in the depths of the Bone Sea was real or not. If it was real, then what was the Bone Sea? Was it a forbidden area controlled by someone? Su Yan felt his hair stand on end. The godly mountain range had collapsed in the last era of the universe. Could it be that the collapse of the godly mountain range had something to do with the Bone Sea? Bone Sea, Demon Mist. Ever since Su Yin had started his journey in the cultivation world, these were the two strangest substances he had ever encountered. He had even found a high-quality force armor in the Bone Sea. Therefore, it was certain that the strong warriors of the Zanyu clan had been to the Bone Sea before. Su Yin had a lot on his mind. He started to check his loot. First, he was disappointed. Su Yin had found some broken weapons, but they weren't very valuable because their god power had been used up. Let this beast god take a look. Bao Kai asked for a few broken weapons. It stared with its panda eyes for a while, then shook its head and said, "The materials are all rotten. I can't see what they are made of. They are useless. They must have existed for a long time." Su Yin was shocked. Were there skeletons in the Godly Mountain Range in the past? Before the Godly Mountain Range opened, I flipped through my family's 100,000-year history books, but I couldn't find any clues about the Bone Sea, Dragon Sparrow said. Their race was also a strong race in the monster region. If there really was a Bone Sea in the Godly Mountain Range, it would have been recorded by all the races. "We are here." Iron Rooster was flying in the sky. He suddenly flew down and sat on Su Yan's shoulder. He said, "This place should be safe. Let's see if we can decipher the contents of the Red Book. Maybe we can find out the age of the Bone Sea." The place where the champion is locked up? Bao Kai excitedly ran in and stuck out its big round head. Its panda eyes were like two golden lamps as it scanned the surroundings. It didn't miss a single blade of grass or tree. Su Yin looked at the territory in front of him. Ancient trees towered into the sky. This made him speechless. They were too tall. These were all ordinary trees, but they were so tall and majestic here. It was as if they had mutated. He observed for a while and found that the terrain here was extraordinary. Yin and Yang were mixed together, giving birth to the power of creation. There was also a hazy Tao connotation in the area. Chapter 491. Su Yin stepped into the treasure land. This place had an ancient aura, and ancient trees towered into the sky. The mountains were majestic, and the atmosphere was magnificent. Su Yin could not help but savor the charm of the great Tao that greeted him. He felt that the terrain here was boundless. This was a treasure land that had been nurtured by the great Tao and changed the cultivation environment here. It made people feel suffocated. This was undoubtedly a treasure land for comprehending the Tao. Su Yin concluded. His eyes flashed with joy. This kind of treasure land was extremely rare. It was considered a rare treasure land for the various peak forces because it was born from the heavens and earth and not created by experts. It was recognized by the world that the creation places born by heaven and earth were usually stronger than the creation places created by strong cultivators. Take this treasure land, for example. If it was in the hands of any big force, it would probably produce a few Tao integration stage strong cultivators. The cultivation environment here was suitable for Tao integration. The dragon sparrow was already crying out with a bitter face. This place is very unusual. If I had achieved Tao integration here back then, my combat power would have been stronger and the great Tao of the universe would have been more magnificent. Yuan nodded. He had comprehended the energy of the great Tao. The layout of heaven and earth was magnificent. This was a matter of the universe's environment. He would definitely gain a lot if he merged with it. The Tao he comprehended would be strong enough and fast enough. Of course, it was not that an ordinary environment could not produce strong cultivators. It was just that the difficulty was unusually high. Even the cultivation time was long, and one would miss the golden years. Looking at the vast cultivation world, there were very few cultivators who were late bloomers. The treasures that were once nurtured here have all been dug up. We're too late. The starry sky Beast King found a medicinal field and saw the cut roots of the precious herbs. It felt that a batch of precious herbs had been nurtured here, but it was a pity that these precious herbs had all been picked by Shueguan. There are some broken bones. The dragon sparrow said painfully, "There's still some divine blood left. I guess some ancient divine corpses have also been taken away. We're too late. Shueguan must have left long ago." The miser was not surprised. Shueguan could not have left any treasures behind. He just hoped that there were some treasures that he had not dug up. Here, Su Yin searched for the dragon and soon locked onto a position. It was a stone pit that looked like the mouth of a spirit spring. The mud layer was very hard, although this spiritual spring had dried up, but Su Yin felt that there was still something good underneath. Roar! Following Su Yin, the Baokai fiercely let out a low roar, shaking the earth and startling Su Yin. This guy's speed was very fast, and he had already rushed over. Su Yin's face darkened. The Tai Baokai blocked the front. It stuck its head out and opened its mouth. It wanted to swallow the good stuff inside. Tai Baokai smiled treacherously and stared with his panda eyes, hoping that he would be able to suck out something good. The spirit spring almost exploded. The Tai Baocai's breathing caused the spirit spring to rumble and spit out sparkling and translucent substances that filled the air with a sweet fragrance. This made the Baokai so excited that it bared its teeth and opened its mouth to eat them all. Su Yin crossed his arms and cast a sidelong glance at the Tai Baokai, unmoved. This guy chewed with all his might for a while. His face was abnormally ugly, as if he had eaten a bitter gourd raw. He suddenly jumped up and exhaled, spitting out a mouthful of yellow soil that had lost its energy. Ha ha ha! Yuan couldn't help but laugh. He pointed at the Tai Baokai and scolded jokingly. You secretly ate a mouthful of mud. Damn it! The Tai Baokai was so angry that it couldn't speak clearly. It spat out a few mouthfuls of mud and scolded. Brat, you didn't even explain clearly. What kind of hole is this? There isn't even a single hair inside. Who asked you to be greedy? Su Yin glared at the Tai Baokai and swung his sleeves. The wind danced and penetrated into the spirit spring. This dried-up life spring lit up with divine splendor. The dried-up spring seemed to have a life of its own as it spewed out clear splendor. Accompanied by the circulation of yin and yang, it surged with a vast wave of vitality. This is... Tai Baokai was startled. He flew up and said, could this be the yin-yang ancestral vein? What? Yin-yang ancestral vein? The dragon sparrow was stunned. Its black feathers stood up as it said in disbelief. This is not the ancestral vein of the immortal mountain range. We found the yin-yang ancestral vein. Oh my God, what kind of opportunity is this? The Star King beasts were shocked. They opened their ruby eyes wide and looked at the yin-yang spring. Rumor had it that the ancestral vein of the immortal mountain range was not inferior to the ancestral vein of the strongest ancient star. It was even an extremely special ancestral vein with terrifying effects. If they could obtain it, it would be an unimaginable opportunity for them. It's not the ancestral vein. Su Yin shook his head and said, it's just a spirit spring. After a long time, the energy accumulated in the earth vein has gathered into a spirit spring. So it's a spirit spring. The dragon sparrow was greatly disappointed. It sighed and said, when the immortal mountain range collapsed, the ancestral vein might have collapsed as well. This is a substance that is comparable to the ancestral vein of the strongest ancient star. Rumor has it that the yin-yang ancestral vein has a special effect and is very suitable for physique refinement. Although its value is incomparable to the yin-yang ancestral vein, its effects are also quite astonishing. Tai Rooster added, unfortunately, a lot of this spirit spring has been sucked away by others. The remaining energy is also limited, so it's not very useful to us. Su Yin nodded. Although the energy in the spring had been drawn out, there was not much left. Look, the Star King beast exclaimed, there are some broken bones and bloodstains here. Su Yin and the others went over. When they saw some old skin on the ground, their expressions became uncertain. Shueguan has been reborn here. Tai Baokai raised its big round head and said in astonishment, he has a dual supreme physique and has also received a huge amount of nourishment from the yin and yang qi. This substance is very suitable for him. I think Shueguan is very strong now. This brat has hidden his strength too deeply. We can't underestimate him. Su Yin was observing his surroundings from where he was meditating. He noticed that many mountains were disintegrating and collapsing around him. He looked carefully and realized that they had collapsed because they had withstood a huge force. Su Yin opened his martial Dao heavenly eye and surveyed the area. He came to a shocking conclusion. Shuiguan had cultivated a great Dao realm physical body at the quasi-Dao realm. This person was getting more and more mysterious. This Shuiguan is impressive. He has grasped the initial fist, Yuan said with a serious face. He also has a mysterious Dao protector behind him who has entered the forbidden zone early on. He seems to have a better understanding of the divine spiritual mountain range. I wonder who is behind Shuiguan. Initial fist. The dragon sparrow swallowed its saliva. It thought of this divine ability. The initial fist, which was known as one of the strongest divine abilities in history, was actually grasped by Shuiguan. No, the initial fist doesn't need to be concerned. However, Iron Rooster stood out, flapped his wings, and said, although the initial fist is respected as one of the strongest divine abilities in history, the initial fist grasped by Shuiguan is not complete. There's no hope for him to dig out the strongest power of the initial fist. Although the initial fist is strong enough, it's not unblockable. Su Yin agreed. Under the initial fist's unique domain, it could suppress any great Dao. It's even related to the universe's environment. Iron Rooster put his wings behind his back and looked like a peerless expert. He said slowly, if the initial fist's invincible domain can't be unleashed, it's equivalent to being crippled. Su Yin had once used the Big Dipper fist to forcefully break it. This meant that the initial fist had not reached the point of being invincible. According to Iron Rooster's description, under the most terrifying initial fist state, all heavenly secret arts would be suppressed. Of course, the initial fist was only one of the strongest divine abilities in history. How many strongest divine abilities are there in history? The dragon sparrow could not help but ask. It felt that this little chick knew quite a lot. Its background was probably not simple. 9. Iron Rooster was silent for a moment. His reply shocked Su Yin and the others. There were a total of 9 strongest divine abilities in history, and the initial fist was only one of them. Of course, there must be some unknown secret arts. However, the ones that spread throughout the universe were a total of 9 strongest divine abilities in history. But that era was relatively ancient, and only a few races in the cultivation world understood them. The dragon sparrow strongly objected to Iron Rooster's words. I don't believe it. I've heard of the strongest divine abilities in history, but I feel that even the Ancestral Hall did not grasp one of them. Now you're saying there are 9 of them? How is that possible? Brat, there are many things in the world that you don't know. Iron Rooster reprimanded. The 9 strongest divine abilities in history. As long as you grasp one of them, you can run amok under the heavens. You'll be invincible among the younger generation of a star field in the universe. Any one of them would possess such unparalleled might. Big Dipper Starfield's Big Dipper Fist, Ancestral Hall's Heaven Refining Cauldron, Z-Way Starfield's Purple Myrtle Heavenly Disc, 9 Sun Starfield's 9 Sun Fist, and so on. These secret arts are only products of the recent universe epochs. Then the 9 divine abilities you mentioned are all lost now. The Starfield King shook its head. I can't say that they are truly stronger than the divine abilities now. I can't be bothered to talk to you. Iron Rooster whined. Without proof, no one would believe it. It was unknown how strong the initial fist was, but this fist technique was indeed the unparalleled fist technique of the burial field race. It was ranked as one of the 9 strongest divine abilities in history. At this moment, Su Yin took out the red jade scroll. He was really looking forward to the shocking secret arts recorded inside. Even if it was incomplete, he might be able to cultivate a part of it. Su Yin tried to use his primordial spirit to look through the contents of the jade scroll, but he failed. He was astonished. How could this be? Why can't I open it? Bao Kai and the others also tried, but they all failed. They could only stare helplessly. I understand now. Tai Baotsai's eyes lit up. He said excitedly, this jade scroll must be very precious. There's a complete sealing method. Maybe we can open it with a divine ability. Su Yin felt that it made sense. He used his primordial spirit to manifest all the divine abilities in his body. Originally, Su Yin was just trying, but he didn't expect that the divine ability, Immortal Phoenix Wings, would actually open the space of the Jade Scroll. Buzz! The incomplete Jade Scroll glowed, and the aura that filled the air was terrifying. This Jade Scroll was completely different. Red light rolled and rippled, blazing and dazzling. The incomplete Jade Scroll surged with immortal light. The moment it erupted, this magnificent forbidden area was clearly covered in red. Even the sky changed color. Su Yin and the others were tongue-tied. This was too strong. This is a F*King red fairy crystal. Iron Rooster's eyes widened as he lost control. This is a supreme treasure material. The Heaven Refining Furnace was made with red fairy crystal. However, this red fairy crystal is a supreme treasure material, and it is used as a jade scroll to store a secret art. Could it be that the strongest divine ability in history is recorded inside? Chapter 492. Supreme treasure materials were far too rare. Even peak factions had a limited number of them. They were considered the most precious resources in the universe. This was the first time Su Yin and the others had seen such a treasure. Normally, if a mighty figure wanted to forge a weapon, they would need to find some supreme treasure materials to smelt. But the material used to forge this jade slip was called Scarlet Fairy Crystal. Even among supreme treasured materials, it was considered one of the top minerals. I remember that there was once a Fey god in the Fey realm who wanted to mix a supreme treasure material into his weapon. In the end, he spent thousands of years to gather a portion. The dragon sparrow was tongue-tied, unable to speak. There was no need to mention how powerful supreme treasures were. The heavenly refining furnace in the ancestral hall was a weapon that could shake a sect. Of course, the supreme treasure materials used to forge this jade slip were not enough to forge a complete heavenly refining furnace. Even if he could gather all the required materials, it would still be extremely difficult to forge a supreme treasure. It was an extremely difficult task. Su Yin never imagined that the red jade slip he fished up from the Sea of Bones was actually forged from Scarlet Fairy Crystal. This harvest was too terrifying. The value of this jade slip could not be measured by money. The Tai Baokai was drooling. It was extremely excited. If a supreme treasure material were to be placed in an auction, it would definitely alarm the various peak factions. The mighty figures of their clans would come out of seclusion and spend an astronomical price to bid for it. Su Yan's heart burned. Perhaps in the future, when he stepped into the Great Tao realm and reconstructed his life cauldron, he would mix in the supreme treasure material Scarlet Fairy Crystal. But the crux of the problem was what kind of secret technique required a supreme treasure material to support it and ensure that the inheritance would not be damaged. And what Tai Baokai found most inconceivable was that the jade slip forged from the supreme treasure material was actually damaged. Just what kind of power could cause the supreme treasure material to crack? He felt that even mighty figures could not do this. Even if they held a supreme treasure, it would be difficult to crack the Scarlet Fairy Crystal. In fact, there were all sorts of treasured books in the Sea of Bones. Could they all be forged from supreme treasure materials? Tai Baokai wiped away his cold sweat. He could not speak of this matter. Otherwise, the various peak factions would go crazy and take out supreme treasures to attack the Emperor Sea. If they were swept away along the way, the consequences would be severe. I almost got into big trouble. Luckily, I didn't fall into the hands of Sundome and King Flash. They all raised their heads to look at the jade slips. The jade slips forged from scarlet immortal crystals shone, blazing with light that overflowed into the heavens, illuminating this restricted area with resplendent light. The entire sky was filled with crimson-red divine rays of light. They were like chains of the great Tao, and they were hazy and blurry with the light of order. Su Yin was shocked. This was the terrifying aspect of supreme treasure materials. Treasure materials that had been formed through the passage of time contained the order of the great Tao that was difficult for people to understand. If it fell into the hands of an expert, it would be a kind of supreme treasure. The scarlet immortal crystal was still in a state where its potential had yet to be tapped. Miser said regretfully, "It's a little damaged." In fact, after a long time, more than half of its power has been destroyed. Even so, the Scarlet Fairy Crystal was still a priceless item. Don't tell me that this is the world's strongest divine ability? Miser urged. Quickly open the jade slips and see what's recorded inside. If you use the divine ability of the Divine Phoenix to open it, it might really be the strongest divine ability in history. Hearing this, Su Yin carefully moved his primordial spirit and used the secret technique of the immortal phoenix wings to open the space inside the jade slips. This space was like a crimson sea of fire. The rolling crimson clouds revealed an air current that was as deep as the abyss. The temperature was extremely high, and Su Yan's primordial spirit felt like it was about to explode from the heat. I can't go in. Yi Yuan frowned in pain. He wanted to use his primordial spirit to barge in and take a look, but Yi Yuan's primordial spirit was a little weak. He had just returned to the Void Realm not long ago. Su Yin withstood the temperature. The scene in the Sea of Fire made him tremble. It was as if an invincible supreme being was floating above the Sea of Fire. This was a living creature that was extremely terrifying. Its body seemed to be formed by the interweaving of endless great Tao. This was a great Tao that belonged exclusively to it. Furthermore, it was burning with raging flames and was filled with the power to burn the heavens. When this kind of aura swallowed the primordial times, the primordial spirits of Long Ke and the others could not withstand it. Their souls were about to dissipate. "Let's go!" Bao Kai screamed. Its primordial spirit hurriedly ran out. Its primordial spirit was almost shattered. This kind of divine power was too terrifying. It was not something they could observe. However, Su Yin endured it. With the power of the Sutra of the Future, he could clearly see the full picture of the Crimson Jade Slips. It was a divine phoenix. It seemed to have transcended the reincarnation of ancient history. The aura it exuded was extremely terrifying. Su Yin had never encountered such a supreme living creature. It was like a celestial spirit. Its physical body spewed out great Tao immortal fire. It was born from the fire. The aura it exuded was enough to suppress the river of time. It seemed to have stood tall above the vast river of time for an endless amount of time. Only the most powerful had the qualifications to look down on the river of time, gaze into the past, present, and future, and look disdainfully at the universe. What kind of world-shaking scene was this? Su Yin was shaken from the bottom of his heart. He felt that this kind of living creature was even more terrifying than a major character. Even the universe could not restrain them. Boom! Suddenly, this indistinct divine phoenix flapped its wings. Su Yin felt as if he had already exploded. There was nowhere to run. The sky collapsed. This was like a strange phenomenon, but it also seemed like a real scene. As it flapped its wings, heaven and earth collapsed. The sea of stars exploded, and the stars in the sky fell down uniformly. As it flapped its wings, it seemed as if a vast starry domain had collapsed. Its giant wings cut through the primal chaos. It was as if two immortal sword embryos were coming out of their bodies. They were going to cut apart a small universe and cut down billions of stars. Its pair of wings were formed from the combination of endless great Tao. It was extremely profound and couldn't be seen through. As it flapped its wings, an incomparably terrifying source of energy surged from within. It was as if two great universes were shining and transmitting the power of the universe. What did you see? The Bao Kai stared helplessly. Their primordial spirits were slightly weaker, so they could still endure it. They didn't see the secret technique recorded inside. Su Yan's back was drenched in cold sweat. He clenched his fists tightly and tried to calm himself down. The scene he saw was too inconceivable. What kind of heaven-defying spirit was that? How could it be so tyrannical? When it revived just now, Su Yin felt as if the entire Z-Way segmentum was being torn apart by it. Was this an illusion, or did it really have such strength? Or was its spiritual will so strong that it had already reached the point where it could look down on the universe? But what was regrettable was that Su Yin only saw it clearly. One move. The flaw in the Jade Room made from Scarlet Fairy crystals was not small, so there was only one move. But just this move alone was enough for Su Yin to feel that this remarkable ability was too amazing. It's a remarkable ability of the divine phoenix lineage. Su Yin replied, "Could it be complete?" The dragon sparrow's heart trembled. This remarkable ability was very important to their lineage. It was very significant. If it was a complete secret technique of the divine phoenix, then it would be a remarkable ability of the heavens, a secret technique that had been lost for a long time. Su Yin shook his head and said, "How is that possible? Didn't you see that the jade slip is incomplete? There's only one move in the remarkable ability. It's 2F** King Immortal Phoenix Wings." Su Yin cursed and explained with a dark face. F***CK. Tai Baokai roared with red eyes. "Sell the scarlet fairy crystals and buy a divine king weapon. It's useless to have this thing. We'll talk about it later. Also, this Immortal Phoenix Wings remarkable ability is much more complete than mine. If I cultivate it, it will be faster and even have offensive power." Su Yin was reluctant to sell it. He felt that if he could find the remaining fragments of the immortal iron staff, its power would definitely not be inferior to the divine king weapon. "Su Yin, we're rich." However, Tai Baokai sent a voice transmission and said excitedly, "That remarkable ability is amazing. Although there's only one move, it's considered one of the core combination's secret techniques." "What do you mean?" Su Yin was stunned and asked, "Haven't you already mastered the Immortal Phoenix Wings?" Even with Zhu Yu's cultivation, she can't copy the strongest power of the Immortal Phoenix Wings. The remarkable ability we saw just now is indeed the Immortal Phoenix Wings. Tai Baokai laughed evilly. "But there are strong and weak Immortal Phoenix Wings. Don't keep us in suspense," Su Yin urged. "Looking at the vast universe, there are some races that are born to be supreme beings. For example, the divine phoenix race. After a long time, this race has passed down countless generations. Generation after generation, there are not many who can truly reach the peak. Some inheritances are also broken." At this point, Su Yin suddenly understood. According to Tai Baokai, the Immortal Phoenix Wings Su Yin saw belonged to the Immortal Phoenix Wings of the ancient era. Therefore, it was stronger and more complete. But this is different. It's very likely to be a remnant ancestral phoenix technique. Tai Baocai's words were filled with excitement. "Heavens, what I saw just now was very likely the ancestral life form of the divine phoenix race. It can be called one of the greatest existences in history, but we actually obtained a remarkable ability that it personally evolved. Ancestral Phoenix." Su Yin was speechless. An ancestral life form of the divine phoenix race. According to the time, their ancestral life form of the burial realm race should have appeared in the desolate era or even before that. That's right. The ancestral phoenix's remarkable ability is the strongest remarkable ability in history. What? Su Yin was completely shocked. He was shocked. The strongest remarkable ability in history was in the Sea of Bones. It was recorded in the Jade Room, made of scarlet fairy crystal. It was once complete. I'm also very shocked. How could the complete ancestral phoenix secret technique appear in that damn place? If this news spreads, this universe will probably be torn apart. You don't know how strong the complete record of the strongest remarkable ability in history is. Tai Baokai said absent-mindedly, "Unbelievable. There are many mysterious things in the universe that we can't understand. Is this remarkable ability on par with the initial fist?" Su Yin asked. "The initial fist? I don't know which ruthless person created it. It specializes in killing and killing. Once hit, it's almost certain death." Tai Baokai was speechless. With the passage of time, how many people in the world still understood the strongest remarkable ability in history? What was the strongest in history? It was a supreme status that shocked one history after another. That era was called the Desolate Era. It was 1,000,000 years ago from this era. That was the strongest remarkable ability in history 1,000,000 years ago. There were a total of 9 of them, but almost no inheritances were left behind. Even if there were, they were scattered. The ancestral phoenix secret technique is all-encompassing. The ancestral phoenix wings are supreme in speed, and attack is secondary. This divine ability was extremely important in a battle between experts. Speed was extremely important. When Su Yin was observing, he didn't see how fast the ancestral phoenix was. But just that sky-shattering and sea-splitting attack was already strong enough. Su Yin was somewhat silent. How terrifying were the strongest existences in the history of creation. Chapter 493. The news of the mysterious Bonicia's appearance had spread and caused a huge uproar. Many cultivators found it hard to believe because the news went against their knowledge. They had never heard of a bone sea that was made up of countless broken bones in the world. This news was truly shocking. Even though Yang Xiong and the Lightning King had joined forces, they had still almost died inside. The news caused a huge uproar and attracted the attention of the big shots outside the ancient dojo. They ordered for more information to be sent to the ancient dojo to find out the origin of the Bone Sea. However, the mysterious Bone Sea disappeared without a trace, as if it had never existed in the world. Over time, this matter became a mystery, and there were all kinds of rumors. Su Yin witnessed it with his own eyes. He even went in and obtained the ancestral phoenix technique and the scarlet fairy crystal. He would never forget the Bone Sea. Force armor. On this day, Su Yin cleaned up the bloodstains on the force armor. Although the silver force armor was old, it was still as shiny as new. There were many holes on the silver force armor, and it seemed to be badly damaged. In the eyes of others, this thing might be useless, but in the hands of Su Yin, it was extremely effective. Wong. Su Yin put on the force armor. When the force armor merged with him, he could feel a part of the divine power left in the force armor. Although the remaining energy was very little, Su Yin could still feel the vastness and turbulence of this energy. Could it be that the force armor can push my combat power to the deity realm? Su Yin was shocked and tried to feel the force armor's energy. He did not dare to try because the silver force armor's energy was too strong. Su Yin felt that if he put on the force armor rashly, he might be injured by the force armor. Therefore, this was not something he could use at the moment. I wonder if this force armor is the strongest space secret armor in the force armor series. Su Yin thought to himself, if it was upgraded to the deity realm, this secret treasure would be shocking enough. Su Yin did not stay idle. He took out the broken cauldron and prepared to replenish the silver force armor's energy. However, the process made Su Yin's heart ache. A large amount of godly materials were burned to replenish the energy, but it was far from enough. Although the force armor could help Su Yin increase his combat power, it burned too much money. Su Yin estimated that the silver force armor to be fully charged would cost no less than 30,000 kilograms of divine essence stones. Spending so much money made Su Yin take a deep breath. Who could afford to use such a thing? But if it can really push my combat power to reach the deity realm, 30,000 kilograms of divine power. Thinking about the power of a god spirit, Su Yin comforted himself. He took out all the godly materials he had to make up for the loss of his silver force armor. Maybe he could use them at a critical moment. Su Yin was prepared to stay here and cultivate in seclusion for a few days. He studied the ancestral phoenix wings' divine ability day and night. Indeed, the deeper he delved, the greater the inspiration he received. And there was one thing he was not strong enough. He could not dig out the full potential of the ancestral phoenix wings. He did not know how powerful a part of the legendary deity realm would be. Days passed. Su Yin did not leave. He continued to absorb the yin and yang qi floating out of the spring. The thin yin and yang qi could be considered a great medicine for the human body. When the yin and yang qi gathered in his treasured body, Su Yin felt as if he was being nourished. If he had such a feeling, Bao Kai and the others would feel the same. Yi Yuan's cultivation was progressing at a rapid pace. They had refined the divine king's precious blood. With the nourishment of the yin and yang qi, they could definitely accumulate a shocking foundation. Unfortunately, the yin and yang qi was too little. After cultivating for 5 or 6 days, Su Yin was overjoyed. He realized that under the nourishment of the yin and yang qi, the potential of his body was more crystal clear and full. This kind of qi was too mysterious. It was as if humans were born to lack this nourishment. Plus, the energy contained the power of yin and yang. Su Yin felt it carefully. He had a deeper understanding of the body. Bipolar star. Su Yin gradually came back to his senses and muttered to himself, "The power of yin and yang coexist with the deity mountain range as the core. No wonder the yin and yang converge. After a long time, it will evolve into the strongest ancient star." In other words, the ancestral vein of the deity mountain range now has this source. Su Yan's eyes flashed with desire. He felt that the path to breaking the limits of his body might lie in the yin and yang ancestral vein. Even if it was just a broken vein, it would still have a heaven-defying effect. But it was too difficult to find it. The deity mountain range had collapsed. No one knew what was in the forbidden zone. The mysterious sea of bones had appeared. Perhaps something else had happened. Of course, the ancestral veins of the strongest ancient star had different effects. Su Yin pondered for a moment. His eyes lit up as his martial, Tao heavenly eye opened. He looked at the yin-yang spring that was about to dry up. The terrain here was very complicated. It contained the energy of the god blood. Su Yin couldn't see through it. Su Yin observed for a moment. Then he leaped and disappeared from the world. When he reappeared, Su Yin had already escaped into the earth vein. Maybe I can follow the earth vein and find some clues. Su Yin was filled with anticipation. He traversed underground. First, he followed the earth vein of the yin-yang spring and searched for the earth vein node. The spring was a special spring formed over time from the combination of many kinds of earth veins. It could be said that it brewed the qi of creation of the earth. Due to the special environment of the bipolar star, it gave birth to the yin-yang spring. Su Yin followed the earth vein node. It was as if he was walking in an underground river. He wanted to see if he could follow the earth vein and find a bigger one. A bigger one? Then it wouldn't be an earth vein. Over time, the earth vein would give birth to a dragon vein. However, the spirit vein would also give birth to branches, turning into earth veins that spread out in all directions. It was very difficult to investigate the earth vein. Su Yin kept looking with his martial Tao heavenly eye and used the secret techniques of the occult sect to investigate the earth vein qi. Day after day passed. Su Yin was having a headache. The terrain was complicated enough. There were even some places that were especially dangerous. He searched for a few days, but didn't find any clues. The earth vein qi in many places had been cut off. I wonder who caused the collapse of the godly spiritual mountain range. Aren't they afraid of being punished by the heavens for destroying such a precious place? What a pity. I wonder when I can find the incomplete ancestral vein and use the yin and yang qi to nurture my great Tao. Su Yin sighed. Of course, he had also gained something during this period. He found two places where the earth vein qi gathered and dug out two springs. The yin and yang qi in them were naturally richer. However, he still felt that they didn't form a dragon vein and couldn't become a climate. This kind of substance isn't of much help to me. Su Yin swallowed a lot of energy substances. He shook his head. This kind of strength spring didn't have much hope for Su Yin to break through. If he hadn't swallowed the Tao body Dan, it would definitely be of great help. But now, the effect is negligible. Tai Rooster said, "It's a pity that the ancestral vein's remnant vein is hidden too deeply. This area has been turned upside down, but we still can't find any clues. I feel that we have to hurry. I'm worried that someone will beat us to it." Su Yin replied, "Who has such great ability?" Tai Rooster said in surprise, "The ancestral land is definitely the most dangerous place. It's hard to say. I have a premonition." Su Yin frowned. After a moment of silence, he said, "I think it's better to change places. There's really nothing good here. However, to be able to find two springs is already a great opportunity. Even the peak powers would be jealous of this thing." That's right. The value of this kind of spring is very difficult to measure. Long K said, "This kind of treasure land can be sold for a sky-high price on Bipolar Star. Even if you want to buy it, you might not be able to buy it. Unfortunately, my cultivation is already at the Great Tao realm. This kind of energy substance isn't of much help to me. Yuan and the Starry Sky Beast King were unwilling to leave. They wanted to stay here and absorb the yin and yang energy. Moreover, even if they went out now, they wouldn't be of much help. Su Yin gave Yuan a set of forbidden formations. This thing could turn the situation around at a critical moment. Su Yan's group of 4 disappeared from this forbidden area and began to search the various large areas in the surroundings. At present, there were already many cultivators in the forbidden area. Although some of the more dangerous forbidden areas were unexplored, many cultivators surged in from other places. There were naturally many good things unearthed in the forbidden area. Su Yin searched for half a month along the way and obtained a batch of heavenly and earthly treasures. He even found a herb king. I wonder if there are divine medicines in the divine spiritual mountain range. Su Yan's words shocked Long Quebec. She said, "There's an 80% chance." Back then, there were divine medicines in the divine spiritual mountain range. They were probably hidden in the especially dangerous forbidden areas. The places where the experts died must have especially terrifying mountain-protecting formations. Su Yin encountered some damaged formations along the way. Even he wasn't confident in opening them. He was prepared to wait until his cultivation had reached a higher level before he had hope of running amok in the divine spiritual mountain range. He might really be able to dig out some divine medicines. Divine medicines were too terrifying. Some divine medicines could be directly swallowed and stepped into the Great Tao realm. They could even become gods in a short period of time. This was not a myth. It had actually happened. Of course, Su Yin had never seen such things before. He had only seen a divine medicine fruit, the dragonization fruit. While Su Yin was exploring, his expression changed drastically. He discovered that the dragon totem was burning. The temperature was extremely high. This was because it had sensed some kind of shocking treasure. "Follow me." Su Yin moved quickly toward his destination. The closer he was to the location, the more intense the burning of the dragon totem was. This shocked Su Yin. The dragon totem had sensed a shocking treasure. Could it be that a divine medicine had really appeared? They rushed all the way. Su Yin had already figured out this area, and his speed was very fast. Just as Su Yin was about to reach his destination, he sensed a terrifying and monstrous life essence surging from the world in the distance. It was as if the sea of life was burning. Billions of colorful divine lights rushed out and pierced through the sky. This scene was too shocking. Su Yin was tongue-tied. This was the immortal sound of the great Tao that shook the universe. It rumbled and came from afar. It was transmitted over and resounded in their spiritual consciousness. Chapter 494. Mysterious sounds of Tao appeared, spreading throughout the surroundings and spreading outwards. The sounds of the great Tao became more and more deafening, as if they were going to seep out and spread to every corner of the divine spiritual mountain range. In the vast territory, countless living beings stopped. Their minds were all hooked by the sounds of Tao. The sounds were like the ringing of a golden bell, and the aura was sacred and solemn, making everyone seem as if they had turned into statues. They froze there, and only the sounds of Tao resounded in their hearts. Yet besides Su Yan's ears, millions of Tao sounds were rumbling. At the moment when the rhythmic sounds of Tao sounded, the beginning sutra circulated on its own. Su Yan's corporeal body became dazzling and resplendent as he bathed in golden divine light. It was as if he was about to ascend into a celestial. He was solemn and dignified as he stood in the void, his entire body exuding the aura of the great Tao. It was like comprehending Tao. In a short period of time, Su Yin captured endless sounds of Tao. Every sound of Tao was like a type of great Tao, and every great Tao could lead to the strongest. At this moment, divine light burst out from Su Yan's body as he observed the great Tao arranged in his heart. Su Yin felt as if he was nourished by millions of great Tao. His cultivation quietly soared, and there was even a sign of him touching the peak and leaping into the strongest great Tao. What was this? This was the embodiment of stepping into the great Tao realm. However, what was regrettable was that this kind of opportunity was just a flash, and it completely returned to calmness. Su Yin came back to his senses, wishing for more, and saw that the dragon sparrow was erupting. It was like a burning black sun. The dense black feathers all over its body shone, burning with the flames of the great Tao. Its aura quietly rose by a level. The dragon sparrow had obtained an opportunity, and its aura started to soar. In fact, millions of great Tao phenomena were even born in heaven and earth. It was as if millions of great Tao mountains were arranged in the sky, causing this area to turn into a peerless domain that was filled with terrifying waves that could suppress all living things. Great Tao domain. Tai Baokai stood up. In that instant just now, its cultivation had also soared, and there was a sign of it leaping into the great Tao realm. However, the dragon sparrow was a great Tao realm cultivator in the first place. It was just that Tai Baokai didn't expect the dragon sparrow's comprehension to be so high. It had actually evolved a great Tao domain. There were two types of people at the great Tao realm. In the past, the overlord of the rock race that Su Yin had slain could only be considered a beginner in the great Tao realm. But now, the dragon sparrow had evolved a domain, which was equivalent to stepping into the peak of the great Tao realm. This kind of life form could be called a top-notch universe overlord. This was because once they evolved a great path domain, their combat power would also skyrocket. It was extremely difficult to evolve a great Tao into a great Tao domain. Under normal circumstances, celestial domain supremes could do it relatively easily. However, Long Ke had become a pinnacle powerhouse in the great Tao realm because of this opportunity. Ha ha! The dragon sparrow laughed loudly. Its entire body's aura was released, powerful beyond compare. At this moment, its magical force overflowed into the heavens. Once it revived, that terrifying domain force would even affect 10,000 li of rivers and mountains. Cultivators who had cultivated a domain were completely different. Such cultivators were relatively rare. Of course, it was impossible to say that the dragon sparrow could defeat the overlords of the Rock Clan. The overlords of the Rock Clan focused on their physical bodies. Although the overlords of the Rock Clan had not evolved a great Tao domain, their combat power was not inferior to such figures. Su Yin carefully sensed and realized that the domain that the dragon sparrow had evolved controlled the great Tao of the universe. It used the power of the great Tao of the universe to arrange and construct a domain world that belonged exclusively to it. With Long Ke's current cultivation, it was qualified to run for the position of clan leader among the powerful clans in the universe. What kind of supreme treasure has appeared? It has actually benefited so many people? Miserly Rooster was incomparably shocked. He said, "Hurry up and rush over to take a look. Could it be that a true immortal's Tao lecture ground has opened? Something that could allow the dragon totem to continuously erupt with such a high temperature was definitely not an ordinary item." Right now, Su Yin was already very close to his destination. However, due to the appearance of an abnormality, it caused the cultivators in this area to go crazy. Hurry up and report to the young master. A rare immortal treasure has appeared. It's suspected that the supreme celestial ground has opened. My cultivation has soared, and I almost stepped into the great Tao realm domain. Could it be that the secret abode of a powerhouse on the level of Daozu in the divine spiritual mountain range of the last universe era has opened? Hurry up and rush in to take a look. If we can't grasp such a place of fortune, we'll be struck by lightning. Actually, there was no need for them to say anything. The Tao sound, just now, had almost spread throughout the entire forbidden area. At present, the powerhouses of the various major forces had gathered here. They were all crazy as they rushed toward their destination. There were even some people who had obtained quite a lot of opportunities because they had listened to the Tao sound. What was even more shocking was that someone had taken the opportunity to break through and step into the great Tao realm. This couldn't help but make their hearts tremble. Could the supreme Tao sound just now have been emitted by some kind of supreme treasure of the great Tao? A great commotion was set off in the divine spiritual mountain range. Su Yin felt a headache. He had originally thought that he could silently make a fortune, but he didn't expect so many cultivators to come. Even the powerhouses of the various peak forces had come. Just now, I sensed an abnormally majestic source of life, but it disappeared very quickly. Could it be that the fortune has been taken away by someone? Long Kei's battle prowess skyrocketed, and she was full of confidence. What Su Yin could confirm was that the fortune hadn't been taken away. The dragon totem had always been guiding Su Yin, and the destination hadn't changed either. No matter what, they were very close to their destination now. As long as they could rush in at the first moment, they would definitely gain something. Hurry up and rush in to take a look. Baokai roared. Many cultivators had rushed over. In fact, it wouldn't be long before more and more cultivators rushed over as well. By then, there would be as many powerhouses as there were clouds. If they wanted to fight for the treasure, it would be very difficult. The fog in front gradually dissipated. Those who dared to approach the area could feel the exuberant spiritual essence of heaven and earth. Su Yin was surprised. Could it be that there was no divine blood scattered here? He didn't sense the aura of a divine slayer. Charge! More and more cultivators rushed over, seemingly crazy. They felt that a treasure of the great Tao had been unearthed. Otherwise, why would such a powerful Tao sound be transmitted? Those who had listened to the Tao sound just now all felt as if they had been enlightened. They had a sudden epiphany and gained great benefits. In the face of such an opportunity, who wouldn't go crazy? Even Su Yan's eyes were red. He even felt that the great Tao mountain might have come into being. When a large number of cultivators rushed in, it was as if they had barged into a vast sea of spiritual essence. The life aura inside was too rich. It surged out from underground, and it was so rich that it was about to turn into liquid. Heavens, this is a celestial land. Many people screamed uncontrollably. Even if there was no good fortune in this kind of treasure land, just the richness of the spiritual essence of heaven and earth was enough to benefit them greatly. Many cultivators were absorbing the spiritual essence of heaven and earth. Su Yin also crazily sucked in a few mouthfuls. He discovered that the spiritual essence contained within this spiritual essence was extremely rich and was extremely suitable for cultivation. However, what alarmed Su Yin was that this pure land was preserved very well. There was also no divine blood-killing trap underground. This was a bit abnormal. One had to know that in the last universe era, the divine spiritual mountain range collapsed almost overnight. It was unlikely that such a secret realm would be left behind. There are spiritual medicines emitting the aura of the great Tao. More and more people went crazy. A large number of cultivators rushed over with red eyes. This area occupied a vast area. On the great peaks of the spiritual mountains, there were all kinds of ancient medicines densely planted. Many of the ancient medicines had the aura of the great Tao lingering around them. These were ancient medicines that had been nourished by the great Tao aura all year round and were thus born. These precious medicines were especially precious and suitable for refining great Tao pills. For cultivators, it was a fatal temptation. I can feel the aura of a quasi-saint medicine. Su Yin was alarmed. He couldn't care so much anymore. They rushed over. With Su Yan's speed, he quickly arrived at an important medicine field. As expected, he saw a fiery red, great medicine that overflowed with spiritual essence. It was surrounded by a dense aura of the great Tao. Su Yin really didn't know what this medicine was. He directly plucked it. There wasn't just a quasi-saint medicine here. Su Yin released his primordial spirit to investigate. He discovered many precious ancient medicines. Faced with such a super treasure field, the older generation cultivators found it hard to remain calm. Just the value of these great medicines was already high enough. Some people even began to fight, and a large number of them even died in the struggle for the king medicines. There were many king medicines or quasi-saint medicines that were sold for sky-high prices outside. However, there were many of them here. They took root in various large medicine fields and grew slowly. This is a treasure field. Su Yin was extremely alarmed. In a short period of time, he had plundered 3 quasi-saint medicines and 5 king medicines. These things were too precious. Suyin might not be able to use them now, but they would definitely be of great use in the future. Every king medicine could prolong one's life, and quasi-saint medicines contained all kinds of special effects. Mother of Asterisk Kur, why aren't there any sacred medicines? Tai Baokai said with red eyes. Such a powerful treasure field must produce sacred medicines. Could it be that someone beat us to it? Impossible. Sacred medicines can't be picked that easily. Even if someone beat us to it, they wouldn't be able to dig up all the sacred medicines in a short period of time. Let's keep looking. There are definitely sacred medicines here. Long K said excitedly. More and more cultivators rushed over. This pure land was already in chaos. Battles broke out everywhere. Corpses were strewn everywhere, and rivers of blood flowed. Treasures bewitched people's hearts. There were even people who discovered a lake of spiritual liquid. What kind of shocking immortal land was this? The heaven and earth essence was so dense that it turned into liquid. After a long time, it formed a lake. Tai Baokai jumped in fiercely. Its 4 hooves kicked wildly as it swallowed the spiritual liquid in large mouthfuls. It quickly swam to the bottom of the lake and stepped on a quasi-saint medicine. However, there were terrifying killing lights that spread out densely. Several experts also discovered that there were treasures hidden under the water. All kinds of killing weapons rushed down, and the entire lake was about to explode. There were also people who took out treasures to absorb the spiritual liquid in the lake. Mother of Asterisk Kur, Tai Baokai ran out while cursing. There were many bloody wounds on its body. It cursed angrily. They're all crazy. They're still fighting even after tearing up the spiritual medicine. Did these old things eat aphrodisiacs? What kind of tree is this? The fruits it grows are extraordinary. Suyin barged into a huge mountain and saw a small green tree. There were green fruits growing on the tree, and each fruit contained a majestic aura of life. This was a type of great tonic that could prolong one's life. As time passed, the pure land became more and more chaotic. Suyan's harvest was very great. In a short period of time, he had swept away a large amount of treasures. Right now, there were already bloody incidents where Great Tao Realm experts had died. Suyin and the others quickly gathered and rushed madly toward the inside. Quickly look. Suyin sensed terrifying Tao sounds and fiercely opened his martial Tao heavenly eye. He saw that a cultivator had picked up a strangely shaped leaf. This leaf was very extraordinary and had various great Tao heavenly marks inscribed on it. It was as if the great Tao order was interweaving and even moving about. His palm had just touched the leaf when it instantly erupted with overflowing divine light that rushed into the sky. It caused the great Tao of the universe to resonate, and the stars in the sky flickered. How is this possible? Dragon Sparrow was so frightened that he trembled. They could clearly see that this great Tao leaf had turned into great Tao light that pierced through his body. This cultivator let out a series of loud roars and actually forcibly tore through the barrier, escaping into the domain of the great Tao realm. Chapter 495. Heavens, look! He just ate a leaf and broke through to the great Tao realm. This scene was also captured by the nearby cultivators. They all let out uncontrollable roars, wanting to roar. Why isn't it me? Why isn't it me? Once one stepped into the great Tao realm, their battle prowess would be completely different. They would be revered as mighty lords. Many people were stunned, opening their mouths. They didn't know what to say. This wasn't an illusion, but reality. They had even witnessed it with their own eyes. Suyin was stunned. What was this? A leaf of the great Tao had created a great Tao realm elite. Suyin felt like he was dreaming. How could there be such a miraculous treasure in this world? Great Tao tree. Miser's eyes were red, and he let out a low roar. This is the leaf of the great Tao tree, a supreme treasure of the great Tao tree. He ate a leaf of the great Tao. The legend is true, it's true. Faced with such a sudden scene, who wouldn't go crazy? A leaf of the great Tao could create a great Tao realm elite. If one could obtain a great Tao tree, It would be equivalent to obtaining an endless celestial treasury. Great Tao Tree. The dragon sparrow trembled. It had heard of this legend before. It was said that there was a great Tao tree in the world that was covered in various leaves of the great Tao. Each leaf was a priceless holy object, even more valuable than saintly medicine. This kind of great Tao tree only existed in legends. Moreover, the great Tao tree was known as the strongest supreme treasure of the great Tao realm. What was the strongest supreme treasure? In other words, it was a supreme treasure that couldn't be surpassed. Of course, there were also rare treasures like the origin treasure liquid. Their value would definitely be higher than a leaf of the great Tao. However, this wasn't the only leaf of the great Tao tree. It was said that there were 3,000 leaves of the great Tao on the great Tao tree. If one could obtain a complete great Tao tree, wouldn't that mean that they could create 3,000 great Tao realm elites? This was too crazy. The key was that the great Tao comprehended by the elite who broke through after obtaining the leaf of the great Tao would be extremely powerful. Therefore, its value was very hard to measure. This elite who had broken through by luck raised his head and let out a long roar. The light of the great Tao gushed out from his body like an ocean. This kind of power of the great Tao was heaven and earth, causing the great Tao realm elites of the older generation to pale. They felt that this elite who had just broken through had battle prowess even more terrifying than them, the older cultivators who had cultivated for 500 years. What was this? This was too unreasonable. What kind of treasure is that? The people nearby roared crazily, their eyes red like lanterns. They looked in all directions, really wanting to find the second great Tao leaf. This cultivator who had just broken through was extremely excited. He had not expected that the strange leaf would allow him to tear through the barrier and enter the great Tao realm. That great Tao leaf had changed his fate. The dragon totem's senses are a little blurry. Suyin was extremely anxious. Just now, the treasure that the dragon totem had pointed to Su Yin should be the great Tao tree. This tree was definitely still here, but the dragon totem's senses were very vague, and the location was somewhat inaccurate. Could it be that someone had beat him to it? Kill. A few experts rushed towards the young expert who had just broken through. They wanted to interrogate him about how he had gotten his hands on the leaf. Boom! All of a sudden, a deafening divine sound exploded. Tens of thousands of thunderous sounds appeared, and terrifying bolts of lightning streaked across the sky, tearing through the void. They were about to cause the space to collapse. An incomparable aura swept over, and it was as if a vast lightning domain had manifested here. This supreme power of the great Tao domain sealed the heavens and the earth, suppressing the rivers and mountains. The three experts who were rushing towards the young expert trembled. They had been suppressed. This was the supreme power of the great Tao domain that had trapped them. This place had also become a world of lightning. Tens of thousands of bolts of lightning crossed over from afar, accompanied by a shadow. King Flash is here. The nearby people were alarmed. The Lightning King, the peak expert of the younger generation in the vast cosmos, had constructed a domain that was powerful to the extreme. The moment the Lightning King crossed over, endless lightning followed him out of the gates and was about to destroy the heavens and earth. It wasn't just King Flash. There was also an aura that wasn't inferior to his surging over. It was like a volcano erupting, spewing out golden suns one after another. They rotated across the sky, and the aura of the 9 heavenly suns intertwined, revealing an aura that could burn the heavens and split the sea. Sundome had also charged over. He was bathed in the divine fire of the sun, and his aura could swallow the rivers and mountains. He was majestic and imposing. There was also a world-shaking blood essence that spread out, causing the heavens and earth to tremble. When that incomparably ferocious aura swept over, people already knew that Yin had also charged over. So far, the 3 strongest experts in the divine spiritual mountain range were Sundome, King Flash, and Yin. Even the Purple Jade King, Tuoba Tian, and a series of supreme experts from second-rate starfields had charged over. Suyin clenched his fists. There were too many outstanding people who had come. Their auras pierced through the heavens, and each of them had great power. There were no less than a dozen cultivators who could stand shoulder to shoulder with the Purple Jade King and the others, and they had all charged into this treasure trove. How could so many experts have charged over? The gathered cultivators were in despair. More than a dozen supreme experts from starfields, in addition to Sundome and the other two, what could they bring out to fight over the fortunes? King Flash was interrogating and wanted to know the truth. This matter was just too inconceivable. He was deeply moved when he received the news and felt that it was somewhat impossible. That was why he immediately rushed over to investigate. Could it be? He carefully investigated and obtained some clues that made King Flash gasp. If it really was the Great Tao Tree, then this matter was serious. It was very likely that a great expert would appear outside and attack the divine spiritual mountain range while carrying a supreme treasure. The Great Tao Tree was an immortal treasure. The various powers of the Ancestral Hall would pay an astronomical price to obtain this item within their own clans. After all, controlling the Great Tao Tree was equivalent to becoming powerful generation after generation and intimidating the myriad races of the universe. What made people lose control was that King Flash raised his palm and blasted this young cultivator apart. King Flash, what are you doing? Sundome and the others widened their eyes in anger. Terrifying auras pervaded the air. Right now, they still hadn't figured it out, but King Flash killed this cultivator who had just broken through to the Great Tao realm. The wrath of a group of kings shook the earth and mountains. The scene was world-shocking. It was as if a fierce battle was about to break out here. If Xian and the others really fought together, this land of treasures might very well be overturned. Su Yan's pupils suddenly constricted. This was too ruthless, killing people to keep their mouths shut. Can a single leaf really create an expert? Su Yan transmitted with a trembling voice. If he could snatch it away, then there was hope for the revival of the buried region's race. The prerequisite is that he is at the Quasi-Dao realm and has accumulated a certain amount of foundation. Iron Rooster replied, but there is also a high chance. In any case, the value of the Great Tao Tree is enough for the various peak powers to pay an astronomical price to invade the divine spiritual mountain range. This was a rare, immortal treasure that was enough to attract mighty figures to risk their lives. Once this day came, perhaps the entire bipolar star would explode. When mighty figures fought, it was common for millions of corpses to fall. Their battle prowess was too great. King Flash didn't hesitate and headed deeper. He wasn't sure whether the Great Tao Tree was here or not, so he had to check it out. King Flash had even given the order to immediately inform the Divine Firmament Star region to prepare in advance. If the Great Tao Tree was really here, the Divine Firmament Star region's patriarch would definitely snatch it away at all costs. Sundome and the others followed closely behind. The problem wasn't this leaf, but his origins. If they could figure out, it would bring unimaginable benefits to the peak races. Quickly follow and take a look. This place was in complete chaos. In this vast forbidden area, countless experts fought to be the first to charge in, fearing that they would be a step too slow. They felt that a supreme treasure had been unearthed. Otherwise, King Flash wouldn't have been so crazy as to kill this expert. Be careful. Su Yan was on high alert. The dragon totem's reaction made him feel that the Great Tao Tree might have been taken by someone else first. No matter what, if there was danger, they had to go in and take a look. In short, Sundome and the others were at the forefront. Even if the sky fell, there would be someone high enough to hold it up. Rumble. Thousands of soldiers and horses galloped forward like a flood. The news of the Great Tao Leaf had spread like wildfire. This also caused experts from various races to flock over, all wanting to know the origin of the Great Tao Leaf. Heavens, look! It's a sacred herb. When countless cultivators rushed inside, some people saw the vigorous divine energy of heaven and earth rising and falling. A purple ancient medicine took root on the cliff, surging with the aura of the Great Tao. The airflow it spewed out was like little divine phoenixes soaring into the sky. The sacred herb's value was difficult to measure. Many people knew that this wasn't something they could compete for. But what was shocking was that King Flash didn't see it now, charging straight in. This stunned everyone. Although it was true that peak forces had a lot of sacred herbs, and they might even take out divine herbs, this was still a sacred herb. Was King Flash going to give it up just like that? Sun Dome and the others had gloomy expressions. This great Tao leaf was definitely important. Even sacred herbs couldn't compare to it. Charge! The cultivators at the back fought together. The Purple Jade King and the other outstanding Great Tao Realm cultivators all rushed into the depths, choosing to give up on the sacred herb. There were too many experts fighting. Hundreds and thousands of experts fought together, shaking the heavens. All kinds of divine light intertwined, giving birth to a destructive force. Those with weaker cultivations were all ground into meat paste. Treasures, bewitching people's hearts. Suyin shook his head. He chose to give it up. Even if he could take it away, he would have to exhaust all his divine power to pick it. The losses outweighed the gains. It had to be said that the Pure Land was very vast, and it also nurtured countless heavenly materials and earthly treasures. People all over the world were digging for treasures. A group of cultivators with powerful battle prowess was about to reach the end. You guys be careful. I keep feeling that something is wrong. Su Yin frowned, looking around. However, he couldn't say what was wrong. At this moment, they were about to reach the end. However, in this area, there was a thin layer of chaotic aura appearing. Su Yin was shocked. Places where chaotic aura gathered would usually have deities roaming about. However, the chaotic aura here was denser the further in one went. Su Yin couldn't help but wonder if this was the dojo of a certain force in the last universe era. After barging into the area shrouded by chaotic aura, Su Yin had a feeling that he had traveled through time. The chaotic aura here was very dense, and heaven and earth were heavy. It was extremely oppressive, and almost all cultivators' strength was suppressed. Some people didn't even dare to barge in, feeling that it was too dangerous. However, King Flash and the others were agitated. They sensed an abnormally terrifying source of the great Tao. There seemed to be countless bells ringing at the end, transmitting Tao sounds from the depths of the chaos. Could it really be? Chapter 496. The appearance of chaotic aura cut off the path of a large number of cultivators. This kind of aura was very special and heavy. Even great Tao realm experts couldn't absorb and refine it. Once they were hit, they would easily die. Sun Dome and the others were all cautious. This also showed that the Chaos Ruins were dangerous places. It was rumored that the ancient Chaos Ruins were filled with chaotic aura. Generally speaking, only deities could refine chaotic aura. This world was filled with chaotic aura. All living beings who entered felt suffocated. None of them were weak. Their auras were all very shocking. They were all terrified by the power of the chaotic aura. Why do I see a tree? Someone cried out in surprise. Many people were looking, and they all saw a tree. This tree towered into the heavens. It was bold and strong like a dragon. Its trunk was so thick that it could be called a giant pillar that supported the heavens. It was suffused with exuberant vitality, as if a sea of life was burning, spewing out auspicious multicolored light. There was a tree growing in the chaos. Everyone was looking, and their hearts gradually trembled. At the top of the tree, there was a myriad of great Tao phenomena. Above the tree crown, there were many branches and leaves, and there were many leaves. The shape of each leaf was different. Some were red like raging flames, and the leaves interweaved with great Tao heavenly marks. When they swam, it was as if a condensed world of fire was burning. There were also golden leaves that radiated in all directions. Kengxiang's sounds rang out, erupting with all kinds of sword light. They were sharp to the extreme, easily able to cut through space. There were also purple leaves, and there seemed to be many small dragons lying on the leaves, spewing auspicious multicolored light. There were countless great Tao leaves of all kinds, erupting with the sound of great Tao, rumbling. Because they were separated by the chaos, it was very difficult for them to hear clearly. In any case, this big tree was quite majestic. It was surrounded by the great Tao phenomena, rooted in the chaos, filled with a supreme aura. It's really that. The miser was bewildered. He had never seen a great Tao tree before, and no one could be sure whether it was a great Tao tree or not. However, the shape of this ancient tree was exactly the same as in the legends. Could it be a great Tao tree? Sundome turned pale with shock. No wonder King Flash had charged madly in to see its true appearance. If this ancient tree was really a great Tao tree, even the great beings would be alarmed. This kind of resource was already worth paying a great price to attack the divine spiritual mountain and seize the great Tao tree. The tree of Tao. The cultivators who rushed in were all trembling with excitement. Some creatures' eyes were bloodshot. Who didn't know how precious the Tao tree was? Every single leaf could be considered a priceless item. The great Tao tree even had a special effect. If one could sit cross-legged on the great Tao tree all year round and comprehend the various Tao fruits it nurtured, and if one was lucky enough to fuse with the great Tao tree, fuse with the Tao, and enter the great Tao realm domain, then it wouldn't be any weaker than the mark of the great Tao of the strongest ancient star. This was a priceless treasure that even the top forces would risk everything to fight for. You're courting death. Seeing someone rush in, King Flash's eyes flashed coldly. The tree of Tao was very close to them, but it was separated by chaos. It would not be easy to rush in. This creature hadn't rushed in for long when the pressure of the primal chaos made him cry out in pain. His entire body caved in, and he didn't even have time to retreat before he was crushed into a bloody mist. A huge commotion broke out in the surroundings. Just the strength of this primal chaos was something that only the best amongst the great Tao realm cultivators would be able to withstand. Those who aren't from the top forces scram. Incien said coldly, I'll only say this once. When it's time to clear the area, don't blame me for being merciless. Isn't this too domineering? The overlords from over a dozen star domains all had ugly expressions. Incien and the others wanted to take everything for themselves, but there were so many leaves of the great Tao on the tree of Tao. Who would be willing to give up on this opportunity? Even if they obtained 3 to 5 leaves, it would still be a great opportunity. Even if the top 10 forces split the great Tao tree equally, it would still be a heaven-defying opportunity. Sundome, King Flash, Incien, the 3 top elites of the younger generation stood in the primal chaos. They secretly took out their killing weapons. They looked at each other, killing intent surging. No one wanted to give up on this thing. In fact, they were clear that the longer they delayed, the more elites would come. Although they could still control the situation now, it would be hard to say if they delayed any longer. These 3 could be said to be 3 great furnaces burning. Their radiance overflowed into the heavens, illuminating the primal chaos. Who wouldn't be afraid? Even the Purple Jade King was shocked. If it was just one of them, it would be fine, but the 3 of them obviously wouldn't let other forces have a share. Brother Sue, what do you think? Dragon Sparrow said excitedly. When the time comes, can we take advantage of the chaos and steal some great Tao leaves? The great Tao tree is the strongest, Balkai said with red eyes. Although the leaves of the great Tao tree can create elites, it's the best opportunity to cultivate under the great Tao tree. There's hope of merging with the great Tao tree. Calm down, I still feel that it's too easy. Miser expressed his opinion. How could something like this be obtained so easily? Don't act rashly. Suyan's expression was uncertain because the guidance of the dragon totem had disappeared. How could this be? Could it be that this great Tao tree was fake? Suyan carefully observed the great Tao tree rooted in the primal chaos. He didn't see any signs of it being fake. Either it was fake, or the cultivator who forged it was too skilled. But the guidance of the dragon totem wouldn't go wrong. If this tree was fake, then where did the real great Tao tree run off to? Could it be that it had really been taken away by someone, and now it was just a cover to delay them? Suyan's heart was heavy. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that something was wrong. Charge! At this moment, a commotion broke out in the primal chaos. A group of elites secretly communicated with each other and joined forces, pouncing over. Their speed was very fast and fierce. Several tens of great Dao realm experts charged over. They chose to ignore Yin Xian's words. If they still didn't make a move to seize the leaves of the great Dao tree, then they wouldn't have any hope in the future. Of course, they really didn't dare to touch the great Dao tree. Being able to snatch a few leaves was also an incredible opportunity that could be exchanged for endless wealth. You're all courting death. Yin Xian was furious. His shoulder-length hair danced wildly, and a ferocious aura radiated out from him. He was like a ferocious dragon that had broken out of its cage, emitting terrifying blood essence energy, causing a stretch of primal chaos to shake. One could imagine how powerful Yin Xian's battle prowess was. He had refined the dragonification fruit, and his battle prowess had undergone a transformation. He already possessed peak battle prowess, and his terrifying fists were about to shatter the primal chaos. The dark underworld lineage focused on cultivating the physical body, and there was no need to say much about Yin Xian's physical body. That terrifying killing move closed in, clashing with the experts who were charging towards the great Dao tree. Hurry up and charge. The value of a great Dao leaf is comparable to a divine artifact. If we don't snatch it now, we won't have any hope in the future. Someone howled, wanting to stir up chaos and make everyone take action. As long as the experts here join forces, then Sun Dome and the others would definitely give up on dividing the area. After all, no matter how strong they were, they couldn't stop so many experts here. Quite a few cultivators rushed out. This kind of good fortune moved everyone here. They couldn't possibly let Sun Dome and the others divide it up. Rumble. This place was in complete chaos. Killing light shot out in all directions in the primal chaos zone. Killing weapons filled the air, and great battles raged on. In fact, more and more cultivators even barged into the primal chaos zone. When they heard the news about the great Dao tree, their eyes turned red. This was a supreme opportunity that had the effect of allowing a group of races to rise up. Kill. More and more experts charged in and joined the battle. This made Sun Dome and the others' expressions unsightly. It was almost impossible to monopolize the great Dao tree. Someone cried out miserably. He had almost reached the great Dao tree, but the pressure of the primal chaos was abnormally heavy. It caused his body to crack and explode into a bloody mist under the crushing pressure of the primal chaos. Kill. Sun Dome and the others couldn't care less. They madly charged in. The three peak experts' battle strength was tyrannical. There was absolutely no one who dared to stop them. They charged into the primal chaos and charged towards the great Dao tree while bearing the pressure. Not good, Run. Suyan's expression changed drastically. Just as Sun Dome and the others charged towards the edge of the primal chaos, he felt a hint of a great change in the world. A trace of great fear engulfed Suyan. His scalp was about to explode as he turned tail and ran. The Baokai ran wildly, and so did the miser. This dragon sparrow hesitated for a moment, but could only grit his teeth and run. He felt that following Su Yan was definitely the right choice. Not good. There's an unforeseen event. Su Yin and the others had just run a short distance when Sun Dome and the others' expressions changed drastically. They had touched the edge of the primal chaos, but they sensed the fluctuations of a peerless killing formation. It was abnormally turbulent, causing the three of them to feel as if they had fallen into an icy cave. They were shocked and mad. Who dared to set up a killing formation here to kill them? Could it be that they didn't know how many young experts had charged in? Moreover, it was just the three of them. Once something happened to them, the three peak powers would go crazy. The old ancestors would be furious and dig out the culprit. Boom! A terrifying explosion rang out. The air of primal chaos surged, and the primal chaos seemed to have collapsed. Millions of layers of primal chaos killing light poured down, densely covering the entire primal chaos zone. The denser the primal chaos, the stronger the killing formation. No! A Star Domain Supreme expert cried out miserably. The primal chaos was overturned, and they were consigned to eternal damnation. They couldn't escape at all and exploded into a bloody mist. A large number of experts fell, and their blood dyed the primal chaos red. Those who could make it here weren't weaklings. Many old cultivators were scared. Who was so daring to set up a killing formation in the primal chaos? This was a killing formation evolved from the power of primal chaos. Who could block it? Sun Dome and the others coughed out large mouthfuls of blood. They encountered the greatest danger and almost died here. Dang dang. Su Yan brought out the precious pagoda divine artifact. The divine weapon of the Peng race's Overlord was brought out by him. This divine artifact shone brightly, and it was enormous enough to support the heavens. It suppressed the sky above them and blocked the primal chaos killing power that engulfed them. This divine artifact pagoda was struck until it trembled. The terrifying murderess, being born from the primal chaos, had a beam of light penetrating through the pagoda's scattered power. Half of the dragon sparrow's body caved in as it let out a mournful howl. This kind of energy was unstoppable, and it could easily lead to death. Su Yan also almost fell to the ground. He had also been struck, and his entire back was burning with pain. The primal chaos-killing power was very difficult to block. Even Sun Dome and the others found it extremely difficult to block this kind of primal chaos-killing power. Next chapter, Night. Today was the Qixi Festival. Chapter 497. The chaos-killing formation was dyed red with blood. All the cultivators who died here had great backgrounds. Now, they died here with unwillingness and despair. I can't accept this. A young expert who had just stepped into the great Dao realm roared. He was extremely furious. His future was bright. But now, he had died here, crushed into ashes by the chaos-killing formation. How could he accept this? This place was too miserable. Many people had died without knowing why, and there were also experts whose Dao weapons had been destroyed. In the face of such danger, only divine weapons could defend against it for a while. The most important thing was this chaos-killing formation continued to worsen, surging layer after layer. It was as if a chaos sea would sweep over. Roar! Yin let out a terrifying roar. His precious body shone like a black, divine mountain, surging with powerful power. With Yin cultivation, he wouldn't be severely injured by the chaos-killing formation in a single exchange. He still had room to resist. Yin brought out a silver halberd, which swept out in all directions. The moment the halberd recovered, a ferocious aura filled the air. It was like a silver dragon that cut off many of the chaos-killing formations that were charging toward him. Scoundrel, get out here! Sun Dome was also furious. 9 great suns rose on his back and circulated in the air, making him look majestic and imposing. However, in the face of the chaos-killing formation, the Sun Dome, was nothing. The 9 great suns were about to disintegrate under the suppression of the chaos-killing formation. Sun Dome naturally had a protective treasure. The 9 great suns gushed with divine light, and 9 great killing weapons circulated with the suns. For a time, the chaos-killing formation collapsed. However, all the cultivators who wielded divine weapons survived. Their faces were ashen. They didn't expect such a situation to happen. They felt that it was too difficult to set up such a killing formation. It must have been done by a peak faction. Let's leave quickly. Su Yan brought out the divine weapon pagoda and charged out of the chaos-killing formation. However, this path was too difficult. It was attacked by the chaos-killing formation along the way. This divine weapon pagoda was char-black. Fortunately, this weapon was powerful and wouldn't shatter easily. Cough! The dragon sparrow was coughing up blood. His injuries were extremely serious. At the critical moment, the Tai Baokai carried him and ran wildly. The bamboo that the Tai Baokai had brought out was surrounded by thousands of lightning bolts. It surged with a masculine aura and dispersed the power that was attacking it. Let's go! Su Yan roared. He had used up too much energy in the process. How could a divine artifact be so easily operated? Behind Su Yan, Sun Dome and the others were also sprinting madly. No matter how strong their foundation was, they wouldn't be able to hold on for long in the face of chaos. They had to leave this place as soon as possible. Otherwise, they would die. However, just as they were about to reach the periphery of the primal chaos, Su Yan's expression changed. Even the expressions of the countless cultivators who were charging towards them changed. What happened? Su Yan had a bad premonition, and his face turned ugly. This method was too great, and it required a lot of resources to set up such a killing trap. The tens of thousands of cultivators who were charging towards them also looked as if they had seen a ghost. When they saw King Flash and the others, they were very miserable. Their hair was disheveled, and they were charging towards the outside with all their might. Something big has happened. A killing trap has been born here as well. Some of them had long faces and were in despair. There was killing in the primal chaos as well. Soon, Su Yan understood. His hair stood on end. Something big had happened outside as well. It was almost at the same time as the killing trap in the primal chaos. The killing outside was even more disastrous. After all, most people were gathered outside. The super treasure ground was already piled up like a mountain, and blood flowed like a river. Tens of thousands of cultivators had died tragically. They were crushed into meat paste by the killing trap that was suddenly activated. The entire super treasure ground had become a large-scale purgatory. It was like a natural prison that was going to refine them all into ashes. I see a bloody light. What's happening inside? The cultivators who were charging towards the super treasure ground were staring helplessly. They beat their chests and stamped their feet. However, the current situation made them tremble in fear. The super treasure ground erupted with a terrifying bloody light. It undulated like a smoke signal and penetrated hundreds of thousands of miles of mountains and rivers. Boundless killing intent scattered down. The power of heaven and earth interweaved. In this situation, human lives were like grass. The number of people who died was innumerable. There were corpses everywhere. Only a small portion of cultivators escaped into the depths of the treasure ground. But now they were in despair. The killing trap in the primal chaos was even more desperate. What was even more serious was that the two killing traps combined together in the bloody darkness. Rumble. The sealed purgatory was trembling. Above the starry skies of the cosmos, endless killing scars crisscrossed. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. The entire world turned blood red. It was like a blood-colored vicious beast had opened its bloody maw. It emitted a bloodthirsty, killing intent that swept through the boundless territories. It filled the entire purgatory world with fear and death. More and more people died. They were hacked in two. Those who survived were relatively powerful, but these powerhouses also couldn't escape misfortune. In this situation, they had nowhere to run. This was because in this sealed world, killing intent was born everywhere. There were also giant beasts that exploded. Blood sprinkled down like a waterfall and dyed the great earth red. The heroes were terrified. This was sitting and waiting for death. Even Sundome and the others had to resist with all their might. A group of famous powerhouses in the cosmos were burning with anger. This was simply an extraordinary shame and humiliation. They were trapped in a killing trap and slaughtered like lambs. When had they ever suffered such humiliation? Are they going to slaughter a group of future opponents? They'll also bring us along while they're at it. A creature let out a voice of despair. All the cultivators were seriously injured. Some felt that this was done by a peak power who wanted to slaughter a group of future enemies. If Sundome and the other two perished here, the consequences would be severe. The powers behind them would absolutely go crazy and tear apart the mastermind behind the scenes. I can't see through it. Su Yan's mind sank to the bottom. He could confirm that this was done by a mysterious expert. Moreover, the other party's cultivation was very high and definitely surpassed his. This was because this kind of killing trap was arranged with the power of heaven. Su Yan was proficient in topography. Therefore, when he arrived here, he didn't see that this place had changed heaven and earth. What do? We can't just wait for death like this, right? How can we kill our way out? The dragon sparrow was uneasy. They wouldn't be able to hold on for long before they were exhausted. Let's risk it all. Su Yan's eyes gazed into the chaotic killing trap. Since there was no way out, then the only way out was to kill their way out. What are those people doing? They don't have to do this, even if they want to die. Some of the seriously injured ones noticed Su Yan's group. They took out the divine artifact pagoda and actually charged into the chaotic killing trap. The situation inside was even more dangerous. It's Madman Su. Someone screamed. He recognized the divine artifact pagoda. This was the weapon of the Peng race's overlord. Then the one who controlled the pagoda should be Su Yan. Su Yan, the purple jade king, was furious. He wanted to rush up and kill Su Yan. However, he smiled bitterly. He couldn't even protect his own life. What was the point of provoking Su Yan? Su Yan, give me your life. The purple jade king didn't make a move, but Yin Xian erupted. He felt that if this continued, the chances of survival would be slim. He might as well get rid of Su Yan first. Yin Xian was also seriously injured. His body was covered in blood. He held a silver halberd and let out a long roar. The moment his blood essence boiled, it shook the heavily injured people around him to the point where they coughed up blood. Yin Xian rushed over with his halberd. He wanted to hack Su Yan apart. Yin Xian, if you don't want to die, then don't provoke me. Su Yan's eyes were wide open in anger. His words were like thunder, exploding in everyone's ears. Madman Su is a strange man. Do you have a way to break out of this killing trap? Someone said. His words caused Sun Dome and King Flash's emotions to surge. Right now, they only wanted to survive. They could let go of any grudges. Yin Xian was also stunned. His expression was uncertain. Although he had already made a move, he had to endure the humiliation. It was better than dying here for no reason. Madman Su is really crazy. He's charged into the chaos. Without waiting for the surrounding people to ask, Su Yan had already charged into the chaos. He didn't want to waste a single second. In fact, Su Yan also had a way to save his life. At worst, he could take out the broken cauldron and enter. However, the result of doing so was very likely to be captured alive by the mastermind. Therefore, there was no way out. He could only risk it all, fighting to live from the brink of death. This path might work. Sun Dome made a decision. If this continued, they wouldn't be able to survive. They might as well fight together with Su Yan. Charge! Those who were waiting for death saw hope. They charged forward with all their might, following Su Yan into the chaos. Just like that, a group of heavily injured cultivators charged into the chaos. Su Yan stored Dragon Sparrow and the other two into his spatial treasure. He took out the divine artifact pagoda and put on the silver divine armor. He was armed to the teeth. Even so, this path was filled with difficulties. Damn charge! Su Yan encouraged himself. He took out a quasi-sage medicine and directly stuffed it into his mouth. The quasi-sage medicine's medicinal strength was very terrifying. It caused Su Yan's dried-up energy source to erupt. He now had to maintain the divine artifacts operation. Only then could he escape alive. Su Yan had 2 divine artifacts protecting him. However, the group of cultivators chasing after him was very unlucky. They died in groups along the way. There were very few cultivators who could resist. In the face of death, they had no choice. They could only fight together with Su Yan. And the deeper they went, the more dangerous it was. Su Yan was very clear that if he chose the wrong path, he would definitely die. Su Yan almost couldn't hold on. The chaos was too terrifying. It was about to tear apart the divine armor. His entire body was covered in blood, and his bones were shattered. After all, he wasn't at the Quasi-Dao realm. If it wasn't for his powerful physical body, he would have died. Now, he would have died halfway. I'm almost there. Su Yan charged forward while carrying the chaos. He was already very close to his destination. Each step was more difficult than the last. Su Yan gritted his teeth and endured. His foundation recovered to the extreme, and his tyrant body technique erupted. He forcefully charged into the edge of the formation. He felt that this was the only place where hope was. As long as he could charge out, he could survive. Su Yan rushed here in one go. Now, he didn't even have time to breathe. He was already exhausted. He roared, I'm going all out. He drilled into the divine artifact pagoda and charged into the most terrifying killing formation. Chapter 498. The sound was so loud that it threatened to scatter Su Yan's soul and shatter his physical body. Su Yan was barely conscious. He wasn't sure if he could succeed. He wanted to get into the broken cauldron and get out, but he couldn't use the cauldron's power. He could only use the power of the pagoda to get out and open a door to the killing array. The noise that almost shattered his soul made Su Yan's scalp tingle. He felt that he only had a little bit of consciousness left. The rest didn't belong to him anymore. His body felt like it had exploded. When he came back to his senses, he vaguely saw the Baokai lowering its big round head and running away. Soon, it disappeared from this world. I did it. Su Yan heaved a sigh of relief. He was dizzy and couldn't help but smile bitterly. This time, he suffered a great loss. He didn't even know who the mastermind was. I need to sleep. Su Yan's consciousness was weak. He slowly fell into a deep sleep. Now, he just wanted to have a good sleep. As for the strange changes in the super treasure trove, it attracted a lot of attention. The spectators' hearts were cold. The smell of blood was so thick that it dyed the clouds in 100,000 miles. Many people had died. Because of it, who did it? Some of the Nine Yang sect's experts roared. They wanted to break the array from the outside and kill their way in, but it was useless. The array was so powerful that it was hard to break it in a short time. Some people guessed that the killing array was secretly using some of the power of the godly spiritual mountain. It was very scary. The factions of Divine Firmament Star area were very anxious. They felt that the longer they delayed, the higher the possibility of Sun Dome and the others dying. When the news spread, the spectators were terrified. Could it be that a peak-level faction had set up a trap to kill Sun Dome, King Flash, and Yin? They wanted to destroy the 3 peak-level experts to clear the path to the strongest in the future? It wasn't impossible. If the peak-level faction was really crazy, they could definitely kill the 3 of them. Yin was fine, but it was different for Sun Dome and King Flash. They were the most powerful beings in the ancient star area. They represented the fortune of the 2 peak-level factions. If they died in the killing array, the consequences would be unimaginable. Roar! Suddenly, a sky-splitting roar exploded. It shook the mountains and rivers for thousands of miles. Many mountains exploded. The aura was very turbulent. The roar shook heaven and earth as if the sun was disintegrating. Look! The spectators cried out in alarm. They looked towards the distant horizon. An expert with disheveled hair roared. His injuries were too serious, almost being killed. Was so angry. Who is it? The Lightning King also crawled out. His eyes were red. All the experts from the Divine Firmament Starfield he had brought with him had died inside. He was the only one who had survived. King Flash's body was stained with blood. There were many fatal wounds on his body. King Flash wouldn't have made it out alive if he didn't have supreme treasures protecting him. Kiki, Yin also crawled out. He laughed eerily and emitted a terrifying killing intent. He wanted to tear apart all the gods and devils in the sky. Just like that, the 3 peak-level experts of the younger generation stood there. Their bodies were stained with blood. They laughed angrily. They had survived, but they had suffered too much. Moreover, they were all seriously injured. Their hearts were full of resentment. People rushed out one after another. Almost all of them were exhausted. Some experts even died directly after rushing out. They couldn't bear it and were disintegrated. The spectators rushed over. They were all dumbfounded when they saw the 10 experts of a younger generation. Someone roared like a madman. Where are the others? Where are the others? They're all dead. A young overlord let out a terrified voice. More than 100,000 creatures had died inside the supreme treasury. Apart from them, no one else could have survived. How is this possible? Only 10 people survived? An old cultivator from a powerful clan let out a sorrowful roar. A large number of his clan's inheritors had died. Sun Dome and the others almost died in battle. They fell in the killing trap. This is simply inconceivable. Who was the one who set up this trap? This place was in an uproar. This news was too shocking. The Supreme Treasury had suffered disastrous losses. Some families even sent in more than half of their experts. This made a few experts' elders cough up blood. This was a disaster. To be precise, there were only 11 of them. Someone looked around. They all wanted to thank Su Yin. If he hadn't taken a lead and opened a path, they wouldn't have been able to make it out alive. They reckoned they would have all died. What did you say? Madman Su led you all out? The spectators were stupefied. They couldn't help but feel that these words were laughable. Madman Su led them out? Otherwise, all of them would have died inside. In short, this matter caused a huge commotion. The entire divine spiritual mountain was in an uproar. Sun Dome and the other two young supreme experts had almost died in the killing trap. Investigate it. We must get to the bottom of this. No matter who it is, we must find out. The Nine Yang sect, the Divine Firmament sect, and the dark underworld lineage were flustered and exasperated. They were the first to suspect the ancestral hall because they had suffered the least casualties. I wonder which ruthless person did it. What's laughable is that Madman Su led them out alive. This result was hard to believe. If it hadn't been for Su Yin, Sun Dome, and the other two might have died. Of course, there were people who refuted. The three of them shouldn't have died. They definitely had protective items on them. To kill the supreme experts of a flourishing sect? It was very difficult. Even if it was a supreme expert, it would be especially difficult. Su Yin, mystical arts master, topography chapter. In the super treasure ground, on a blood-stained cliff, two figures looked down at the wasteland and the broken world with rivers of blood flowing. They looked up to the sky and laughed. This was their masterpiece. One of them was an old man who was about to die. His hair had all fallen off, and old skin was falling off his face. His life force was declining to the extreme. He said with dissatisfaction, "I didn't expect him to escape. If you had attacked just now, you should have been able to kill him. This is the deal we agreed on. It's more interesting if I kill this person personally. He's nothing in my eyes. I'll give you what you want in 2 years." The other man, who was covered in bloody light, said coldly, "You're really confident. However, killing Su Yin is not difficult for you." The old cultivator, who was about to enter the ground, coldly said, "I hope you can fulfill your promise. I really didn't expect the terrain chapter to appear. This item is too important to me. If you give me what I want, I will satisfy any of your conditions." The man, who was covered in a bloody aura, threw out a fruit and disappeared. Divine origin fruit. The old cultivator was very excited. He held the divine origin fruit in his withered hand. This was a fruit born from a divine medicine. Its value was immeasurable. It was enough to return him to his heyday. If it wasn't for the divine origin fruit, he wouldn't have taken the risk. Although the divine origin fruit was incomparable to the dragonization fruit, the divine origin fruit was a sacred healing item that could prolong one's life. In the hands of an expert who didn't have much time left, the divine origin fruit was priceless. Now, all the major forces were keenly aware that the mystical arts sect must have done something in secret. Otherwise, who could have set up such a big killing trap? The whole world was in an uproar. The experts of the various forces in the forbidden ground all paled when they talked about it. People suspected that there were other traps. For a time, a large number of experts left the forbidden ground. They didn't dare to rashly enter, for fear of entering a dangerous situation. However, when the news of the Great Tao Leaf spread, all the major forces were shocked. The trap was real, and so was the Great Tao Leaf. Could it be that the Great Tao Tree was really controlled by someone? The forces of the Divine Firmament Star area were very angry. They were the major forces in the vast universe. But now, an unknown change had caused them to suffer great losses. Now, the Divine Mountain Range was getting more and more dangerous. Brother Su's injuries are very serious. He won't be able to recover without a few months. Long K was shocked. Even the Divine Treasure Pagoda had exploded. If Su Yin wasn't wearing the divine armor, the consequences would be unimaginable. Now, Su Yin had woken up, but his breath was very weak. He sat there cross-legged and said, "I will be in seclusion for a while." Su Yin silently breathed in and out the essence of heaven and earth. The loss he suffered was too great. Su Yin couldn't let it go. The divine treasure pagoda had been destroyed, and even the divine armor was damaged. His 2 trump cards were almost destroyed. Su Yin was sure that it was the mystical arts sect's doing. Their cultivation was very high, and they were proficient in the direction of heaven's power. Su Yin only had the mystical arts sect's inheritance. That was why he fell into the trap. If I find him, I might be able to get the heavenly power chapter. Su Yan's eyes flashed with killing intent. If he could get the heavenly power chapter, he could unify heaven and earth's power. Then, Su Yan's cultivation would definitely advance by leaps and bounds. But who did it? What is their goal? It can't be because of the treasures of the dead cultivators. Almost all the treasures on those people were destroyed. Why? Could be to kill Sundome and the others? Su Yin felt that this was a ruthless person hiding in the dark. He could still be safe and sound after killing so many experts. This meant that this person had hidden too deeply. He also couldn't figure out who did it. Either it was a peak power who cleaned up a group of future enemies in advance, or it was a bigger scheme. Why are you collecting so much primal chaos chi? Su Yin looked at Iron Rooster. It took out a bag and poured out primal chaos chi. Iron Rooster's next action stunned Su Yin. Iron Rooster began to absorb the energy of the primal chaos chi. Wasn't this guy afraid of exploding? Such a strong energy rush made Iron Rooster cry out. It was actually disintegrating inch by inch and was about to explode into a bloody mist. Bao Kai was stunned. It looked at Iron Rooster. Was this guy crazy? I've had enough. I almost died in a killing trap. Iron Rooster was ruthless. Its disintegrating body vibrated with ancient scripture sounds that contained ancient demonic energy. It was as if a terrifying shadow was hibernating within its body, surging with primal chaos radiance. Iron Rooster seemed to have been reborn from the ashes. It turned into a cocoon in the midst of destruction and was tightly wrapped in primal chaos chi. Don't tell me this is destruction followed by re-establishment. Su Yin looked as if he had seen a ghost. What destruction followed by re-establishment? This is called stimulating one's potential. When I come out of seclusion, I'll definitely be the Overlord of the sky. Iron Rooster said proudly. However, these words were extremely painful. It was crushed by the primal chaos and had to endure the danger of death. It can absorb primal chaos chi? The dragon sparrow was shocked. It suspected that Iron Rooster's heavenly art was extraordinary. It seemed like it could even swallow primal chaos chi. Tai Baokai hesitated for a moment and then asked Su Yin for a few jars of the Divine King's precious blood. The following scene made Su Yan's face twitch. Tai Baokai ate all of the Divine King's precious blood and let out a miserable shriek like a pig being slaughtered. Its fat body was about to explode at any moment. This was the Divine King's precious blood. Who dared to absorb it like this? Not even great Dao Realm experts dare to do so. This beast God want to stimulate the power of my bloodline and reconstruct my battle body. Bao Kai shouted fiercely. I will use the Divine King's precious blood to replenish my body. It will definitely work. They have been provoked. Su Yin, you have to calm down. Don't act recklessly. Chapter 499. After swallowing 3 jars of the Divine King's precious blood, Bao Cai's body couldn't withstand it no matter how strong it was. It let out a painful cry. Its fat body was flushed red as if it was being burned. All kinds of divine energy surged in its body, causing Bao Cai's bones to be on the verge of exploding. Buzz. Bao Kai took out an alchemy furnace and climbed in. It took out all kinds of spirit liquids it had collected in the super treasure trove and poured them into the furnace. It was really afraid that it would be refined to death and needed the spirit liquids to heal the wounds on its body. Bao Kai was paralyzed in the alchemy furnace like a dead dog, enduring the impact of the Divine King's precious blood. At the same time, its bloodline glowed as it absorbed the divine energy contained in the Divine King's precious blood. At the same time, it borrowed the energy of the Divine King's precious blood to forge its battle body. These 2 guys. Su Yin was alarmed as he watched. He was also absorbing the essence of heaven and earth to heal his injuries. He was even secretly using the heaven-mending technique to heal his injuries. With the heaven-mending technique in hand, he estimated that his injuries would be healed in a few days. "I'll go out and patrol." The dragon sparrow lay dormant for a while before flying out. Several hours passed, and Su Yin used the heaven-mending technique to recover a portion of his losses. He then started to take out batches of natural treasures to nourish his injured body. His injuries were very serious, and many of his bones were broken. If it wasn't for his strong body, even with the protection of the divine battle armor, Su Yin wouldn't have been able to escape from the fatal situation. Just like that, a day passed. Su Yin's body burned with vigorous life essence, and his recovery speed began to accelerate. The heaven-mending technique was very mystical. When Su Yin used this technique to recuperate, the bones in his body kept moving rhythmically, and blood essence flowed everywhere. Many natural treasures turned into human precious medicines that started to swim in his body. At night, Su Yin looked at Bao Kai. Its aura was gradually calming down, as if it had turned into a chaotic cocoon. This scene made Su Yin very surprised. Could Bao Kai be able to absorb chaotic aura? One must know that only deities could absorb this kind of gas. Even great Tao realm experts found it very difficult to absorb chaotic gas. He really wanted to know how much potential Tai Gongji could accumulate after being cleansed by the chaotic aura. After all, they all needed to break through and step into the great Tao realm. Once he stepped into this stage, he would be nourished by the power of the universe's great Tao. In other words, the stronger his foundation, the more shocking his recovery power would be. This step was very important. The great Tao realm was the gate for experts. It was the starting path. The higher one charged, the stronger one's attainments in the great Tao realm would be. Only then would one be able to carve out an even wider path to becoming an expert. "Do you still have the Divine King's precious blood?" Bao Kai transmitted its voice. It had been tortured for a day and a night, but its condition had improved a lot. Bao Cai's bloodline was very special, like a kind of chaotic bloodline. Wisps of prehistoric, ferocious aura seeped out from its bloodline. This was the release of the potential of its bloodline, penetrating Bao Cai's body. Su Yin was bewildered. Bao Cai's body seemed to have been nourished by layers of special demonic blood. It was gradually transforming, digging out even more potential power from its shell. "How did you get your hands on this secret technique?" Su Yin asked. "This seems to be a kind of bloodline secret technique that digs out the divine power in one's bloodline to nourish the body." Bao Kai replied, "It was in the demon region. When I used the banners of demons to operate the great Tao order of the demon region, I discovered a secret technique hidden in the source of the demon region. Only the banners of demons can extract this secret technique. This secret technique is very special. I don't know who created it, but the creator must have dug out the bloodline to the extreme. Once this secret technique is activated, it can draw out the remnant energy of the bloodline ancestor and use it to nourish my body. What a strange secret technique. Let me use it." Su Yin was shocked. There was such a mysterious secret technique in the world. He had never heard of it. Of course, the prerequisite was that one had an extremely strong bloodline. "I'm afraid you can't use it. Yuan tried it before, but unfortunately, it failed. His bloodline is also very strong, but this secret technique is useless to him." Bao Kai was also a little confused. It felt that this secret technique was tailor-made for it. It discovered that there was a great treasure hidden in its bloodline, but it needed to be excavated. "Let me see." Su Yin felt that his bloodline was special. It might really be useful. Bao Kai transmitted the nameless bloodline's secret technique to Chu Feng through its primordial spirit. It said, "This thing's origin is probably very great. It's hidden in the origin of the universe of the demon domain. Only the banners of demons can take it out." Su Yin studied it carefully. It was a little difficult to read. The secret technique involved space, and it even seemed to be able to trace back to time. He looked at it in a daze. He seemed to understand it, but he didn't. When he asked Bao Kai how it cultivated, it bared its teeth and replied, "Who am I? You'll know at a glance." Su Yan's face darkened. He took out the divine king's precious blood. He still had 10 jars of it on him. Tai Baokai gulped it down like a cow. If outsiders knew that Tai Baokai could crazily gulp down the divine king's precious blood at this realm, they would definitely be so shocked that their jaws would drop. In a short span of 2 or 3 days, Tai Baokai had drunk 9 jars. The potential of its bloodline erupted once again. It was as if all the potential from history had been gathered into Tai Baocai's body. Its precious body shone brilliantly. If it wasn't for the pill furnace concealing it, the commotion would have been exceptionally great. Su Yan, the formation traces of the treasury have disappeared. The dragon sparrow hurriedly came back with a piece of news. Someone broke in and found that the entire treasury was gone. They couldn't even find a single bone. The experts of all the great powers are going crazy. They think someone is hunting. Su Yan's expression suddenly sank. This was somewhat terrifying. It was as if he had seen an ominous demon devouring the essence of human blood. But more than 100,000 creatures had fallen. What kind of bloody event was this? It was a ghastly sight. No matter what, this matter had caused a great commotion. All the great powers were furious. Even now, they couldn't find a single clue. Everyone wanted to know who was the culprit. Since the other party didn't forcefully take action to keep Sun Dome's group, it means that they didn't come for Sun Dome's group. Or perhaps they didn't have the confidence to kill Sun Dome's group and were worried about being exposed. Is it because of some other goal, or because they aren't strong enough? Su Yan pondered. He had also suffered a great loss. He didn't know who to look for to settle this debt. Brother Su, many cultivators have come to the restricted area. How are your injuries? Do you want to move? The dragon sparrow asked worriedly. Hearing this, Su Yan said, My injuries aren't serious. I want to go into seclusion here for a while. Now that the whole world is staring at the treasure trove, I don't think there's a need to move. By the way, how is your family now? The dragon sparrow sighed and said, I don't know yet. Right now, the devil realm is in chaos. Because of the banners of demons, the supporters of the northern devil realm and the old subordinates of the Supreme Being are opposing each other. No matter what, the influence of the banners of demons is too great. I really hope that Brother Baokai can rise up. If the northern devil realm rises up and suppresses all the other races, then it will be a time of trouble. Right now, the most powerful races in the devil realm were competing. They all wanted to seize power. Who didn't want to dominate the world and live a glorious life? However, the appearance of the banners of demons broke the balance of the devil realm. The two factions were at loggerheads. However, the dragon sparrow knew that if the northern devil realm could take another step forward and become a god, then his position would be unshakable. He would definitely become the supreme being of the devil realm in the future. The supreme being of the star realm, what kind of power was that? It could be said that he stood at the peak of power. Who would give up such an opportunity? Su Yan didn't care about the affairs of the devil realm. He just wanted to know what the relationship between the banners of demons and the devil realm was. Since this thing had fallen into the hands of Tai Baokai, it meant that there were some secrets involved. Why would the banners of demons land on Earth for no reason? By the way, Brother Su, there are old subordinates of the Supreme Being in the devil realm who will support Tai Dainyu. The dragon sparrow said, Should we gather their subordinates? This way, our safety will be guaranteed. I'm really worried that the northern devil realm will have other fierce generals under his command. Hearing this, Su Yan shook his head slightly and said, There's no need for that. We don't need manpower. The dragon sparrow originally thought that Su Yan would agree, but he didn't expect him to reject directly. The dragon sparrow smiled bitterly and said, All right then, I'll go and inform them now. Don't come. You told them our location? Su Yan frowned and looked at the dragon sparrow. He didn't expect the dragon sparrow to make the decision on his own. Su Yan's gaze made the dragon sparrow's hair stand. The dragon sparrow hurriedly said, I told them our approximate location. They should be here soon. If you're still worried, we'll leave now. Baokai is still very weak now. Even if he has the banners of demons, what can he do? Will the old subordinates of the Supreme Being submit to him? I don't think so. Su Yan's eyes were cold. He stood up and said in a deep voice, I think we should go somewhere else. Moreover, I'm in a lot of trouble now. It's not suitable for us to meet them. Dragon Sparrow, stay here and tell them that we have something to do and we'll leave first. Brother Sue, you're still injured. The Dragon Sparrow persuaded. I know you're worried, but the old subordinates of the Supreme Being are absolutely loyal. Why don't you meet them? They might really be of help to you. They're already here. Su Yan's eyes widened. He quickly looked around and vaguely sensed the aura of a group of demons rushing towards them. Look, they're very enthusiastic. The Dragon Sparrow laughed. Su Yan's face darkened. What kind of attitude would the old subordinates of the Supreme Being of the ancient universe era have towards Tai Bao's identity? Su Yan didn't think that they would fully support Tai Bao Kai. After all, the banners of demons were too important. However, the number of demons coming from all directions made Su Yan have a bad premonition in his heart. Demon aura surged in the distant world. There were terrifying auras of great demons releasing. There were definitely demon race experts who had cultivated domains. The passing of the demons alarmed the nearby cultivators. They were all shocked. The movements of the demon domain were too big. What were they doing? A demonic wind blew, and Su Yan's hair danced in the wind. His expression was cold as he stood under a large tree. He could feel the killing intent and the smell of blood. It was bone-piercing cold, and the ominous feeling in his heart intensified. Brother Su, don't worry. They're definitely too enthusiastic. Brother, you might not know this, but the northern demons have suppressed the old subordinates of the Supreme Being too badly. Now that they know that a direct descendant of the Golden Iron Bull bloodline has appeared, they can't wait to come and support their new master. The Dragon Sparrow said with unusual enthusiasm, I'm familiar with all the experts coming. You can relax. Su Yan wanted to avoid it, but it was too late. Demons were coming from all directions. The demon aura that swept over was even more turbulent. It covered the sky and covered thousands of miles of rivers and mountains. There were ferocious beasts with powerful auras passing by. Giant birds with bodies that covered the sky flew over the mountains and valleys. There were also young overlords of the demon domain with exuberant vitality. The nearby cultivators were dumbfounded. The demon domain had sent out so many experts. What were they trying to do? Your madman Suhu killed the overlord of the rock race. A divine bird, Qing Wan, rushed over first. Its body was covered in rolling green light. Its cold eyes stared at Su Yan and shouted, Stand up for me. What the hell are you? This voice was too loud. It spread in all directions, causing everyone who heard it to be stunned. Who didn't know Madman Su? If it wasn't for him, how many people would be able to survive the treasure trove? Brother Qing Wan, the Dragon Sparrow scolded unhappily. We agreed on a peaceful ending. You better control your anger. Chapter 500. Thousands of miles of mountains and rivers were filled with rolling, demonic aura. It was as if vast waves were rising and falling, causing the sun and moon to lose their color. This scene was shocking. There were too many demon soldiers rushing over, and they even descended in such a manner. How could they not be shocked? The onlookers were all shocked. Some guessed that this was an order from the demon god of the demon region, or perhaps from the North Demon. It was definitely related. However, when they heard the words, Madman Su, the onlookers were terrified. They were not surprised that the demon region was targeting Su Yan. The overlord of the rock race had died tragically at the hands of Su Yan, including Anya Tianlang and the other demon region experts. However, they would never have thought that Su Yan would be here. Moreover, he was directly trapped in the encirclement. Peacefully ending? Brother Long K, don't think that you can order me around just because you made a great contribution. This Qing Wan divine bird's expression was cold. Its race was on good terms with the rock race, and even the divine bird of the Qing Wan race had a close relationship with the overlord of the rock race. They were all fierce generals under the North Demon. The rock race had died at the hands of Su Yan. Things are different now. Brother Qing Wan, you can't defeat me now. The Long K's aura was strong. After all, it had comprehended the great Dao domain. It could be considered a top expert in the demon region. Seeing the demons passing by, the Long K's expression was proud. All of this was caused by it. The Long K felt that this day would be recorded in the history of the North Demon era, and it would also be glorious. Brother Sue, don't be offended. After all, the demon region has bled too much on you. The Long K looked at Su Yin with an apologetic expression. Su Yin was shocked and angry. The Long K had betrayed him? This Long K had even gained the trust of Bao Kai and Yi Yuan. This made him very surprised. This Long K was really good at hiding. Although Su Yin didn't have much contact with the Long K, how could Yi Yuan and Bao Kai be so easily deceived? You're also quite a character. Su Yin looked at the Long K and said indifferently, you hid it really well. Even I didn't see your true face. Bao Kai, who was in seclusion, was furious. It was at a critical moment of cultivation and didn't expect the Long K to betray him. This Long K had blocked many fatal situations for Bao Kai. Bao Kai trusted Long Quebec. The dragon sparrow shook its head and sighed. Brother Sue, you're wrong. I didn't plot against you from the very beginning. I was sincerely helping you. Moreover, the ancestor of my Dragon Sparrow clan said that he would protect the Golden Iron Bull clan. Is there any point in saying all this nonsense now? Su Yin sneered. Since things have come to this point, what else can't you say? The Long K stepped back. It knew that even though Su Yin was injured, he still had some combat strength. Its eyes were a little cold. It looked at Su Yin and said with a smile, Brother Su, you're really vigilant. However, I didn't lie to you about one thing. The ancestor of our Long K clan won't target the Paragon bloodline. But the Long K smiled sinisterly. This is the era of the North Demons. You'll never know how strong the North Demons are. What right does this trash have to become the new ruler of the demon region? He's not even at the Great Dao realm. What right does he have to control the banners of demons? Damn it. Leave this dog to me to kill. Bao Kai scolded. It was furious. It didn't expect this Long K to be so cunning. It had abandoned many of its subordinates in exchange for Bao-Cai's trust. It had to admit that this Long K was very sinister. The Long K clan had lost several great Dao realm experts. It had paid a heavy price just to gain Bao-Cai's trust. Originally, I wanted to kill it secretly and take back the banners of demons to hand over to the North Demons. The Long K was also an ambitious expert. It said angrily, but I really didn't expect that Tai Bao Kai wouldn't believe me after I helped this trash time and time again and abandoned my subordinates. What a joke. It was only until you came that it was willing to take out the banners of demons. Even if Tai Bao Kai trusted the Long K, it wouldn't tell it everything. At first, it said that the banners of demons have been taken away by the Golden Iron Bull bloodline. At first, the Long K didn't believe it. However, after so many dangers, Tai Bao Kai didn't use the banners of demons. This made the Long K decide to lie low for a long time. Later on, although it knew the whereabouts of the banners of demons, because of Su Yan's existence, the Long K didn't dare to act rashly. So, you waited for an opportunity. Now that I'm injured, you can attack me. Su Yan laughed angrily. This Long K did find an opportunity. However, when it went out to report, it probably didn't expect that Su Yin had recovered from his injuries. With these people from the realm of demons, Su Yin really didn't care? That's right, the Long K said proudly. Now is the best time to attack. Su Yin, there's a saying that a wise man submits to circumstances. And Tai Bao Kai, I really don't know what your true form is, but I advise you to submit to the North Demons. That way, you can save your life. A wise man submits to circumstances. Su Yan's face was full of sarcasm. He shook his head and laughed. Do you think that a treacherous person like you will be valued by the North Demons, even if you bring back the banners of demons? The Long K's expression changed drastically. It was uncertain. Hee, let's not talk about such useless nonsense now. In the region where demonic chi surged, experts were as common as clouds, emitting a suffocating aura. The beasts parted to form a path, and 3 figures with blazing auras walked over. Their might was like a mountain, and they were all people who held great authority in their hands. The 3 of them looked like human cultivators, but their bodies were filled with terrifying demonic chi. One of them had the head of a leopard, and the other had the head of a lion. The middle-aged man in the lead had an aura that could swallow mountains and rivers. His body was covered in golden scales, and he looked like a fiend god. Lord Hanyun, the Long K hurried forward. This man with a powerful aura was a powerful figure in the North Demons. It was even an elder of the North Demons. Although they were of the same generation, the Long K still addressed him as Lord. Shin Hongyun's aura was powerful. He was as ferocious as a demon god. His body was covered in golden scales that scattered golden light. The area he was in was like a golden kingdom. He was a top sage lord who had comprehended the great Dao domain. These people were also gathered by him. Strong cultivators of the Long K race. Shin Hongyun waved his hand and smiled. Your performance is not bad. After this matter is settled, you will receive many benefits. My North Demons will give you a position under them. Thank you, Lord Hongyun. I will not hesitate to go through water and tread on fire for you. The Long K was excited. It knew that from today onwards, it would also be a powerful cultivator who could shake the universe. After all, following the North Demons would greatly affect its status. It might even become a subordinate of the new supreme bloodline in the future. Good. Shin Hongyun laughed. The essence blood in his body surged. Demonic chi overflowed. He stared coldly at Su Yin and said, Su Yin, no matter what, you killed the Overlord of the Rock race. This matter cannot be settled peacefully. However, if you explain the origins of the banners of demons and the Tai Bao Kai, there's still room for negotiation. I was wondering what kind of background the North Demons had. Su Yin looked at Shin Hongyun and said, So, it's a transvestite. I'm really surprised. The current supreme of the demon realm is actually a half-human, half-demon. How dare you? The demons were furious. Terrifying demonic chi surged like an ocean. It was accompanied by a deafening sound of thunder. It was as if the sky was going to be turned upside down. The anger of the demons was unparalleled. It caused the color of the entire world to change. Shin Hongyun's face darkened. In the past, the North Demons didn't have a high status in the demon realm. After all, the blood of both humans and demons flowed in their veins. However, because of the existence of the North Demons, the entire North Demon race grew rapidly. As for their bloodline, it had been many years since anyone brought it up. How dare you? Shin Hongyun's face darkened. He glared at Su Yin and shouted, I think it's too easy to kill you. Why don't I give you to the Ancestral Hall? It'll be a favor to the Ancestral Hall. Brother Su, you've gone too far. I'm trying to fight for a peaceful ending for you. The Dragon Sparrow was also furious. But you've gone too far. You don't know what's good for you. You even want to humiliate the North Demons. Dying 100 times won't be enough. You're really sincere. Su Yin sneered. If your Dragon Sparrow race's ancestors knew about your conduct, I wonder if they'd be so angry that they'd crawl out of the ground? Winner takes all. How can my ancestors not understand? The Dragon Sparrow said angrily. Su Yin, you're about to die. Don't say such useless words. Even if you're at your peak, you won't be able to escape death. You two go and take him down. Shin Hongyun shook his head and said disdainfully, I thought we were going to fight. But Su Yin, you're so heavily injured. I won't make things difficult for you. Just tie him up and send him to the Ancestral Hall. Brat, you won't die if you don't seek death. You even dare to humiliate the North Demons. Lionhead and Leopardhead were two demon race cultivators. They were also half-human, half-demon bloodlines and came from the North Demon race. They immediately rushed up. Their auras were extremely shocking. Ever since the North Demons rose to prominence, more and more powerful cultivators walked out. These two were also among them. After spending so much effort, you only sent 2 little demons to the stage. Aren't you looking down on me, Su Yin? Su Yin replied with a cold smile. He supported himself with his hands as he walked over and looked down at these people. Who do you think you are? The 2 of us can chop you into meat paste. The leopard head was furious. Su Yin treated them as small demons. This was a blatant humiliation to them. They rushed over. Lionhead and Leopardhead shone, erupting with brilliant divine light. Their bloodlines were extremely special. Although they were half-demon bloodlines, their combat strength was also extremely powerful. Su Yin, rest in peace. If it wasn't for your help, I wouldn't have reached my current position. Dragon Sparrow transmitted his voice and laughed sinisterly. Don't worry, I'll burn more paper for you every year. You won't lack money on the road to the Yellow Springs. Dragon Sparrow felt that the future was beautiful. Could it be that something unexpected was going to happen? Dragon Sparrow thought for a long time and felt that there wasn't a trace of possibility. Swoosh! Su Yan's body suddenly disappeared. The next time he appeared, the void erupted with a great explosion. It was as if a great cosmic star rushed out from outer space. This was Su Yan's foot. It came down from the sky with a crushing momentum. Not good. Lionhead and Leopardhead were terrified. This foot was too ferocious. It was as if a great ancient mountain was pressing down. That supreme strength crushed them until their bodies and minds were about to split apart. It was difficult for them to surge out with strength to fight Su Yan. Bang! Su Yan's foot ruthlessly stomped down. He used all his strength to kill Lionhead and Leopardhead. How long? Su Yan landed on the ground. Terrifying energy flowed out from his body, piercing through the heavens and rushing into the heavens. Chapter 501. These domineering words resounded in the ears of the monsters. An inexplicable chill rippled through their hearts, causing them to pale. This was too domineering. Even in the face of this situation, Su Yan still had the courage to go on a punitive expedition. In a region filled with surging demonic energy, layers upon layers of dragon-shaped blood energy shot into the sky, scattering the surging demonic energy and forcefully cleaving open a large crack that pierced through the heavens. It's Madman Su's aura. He wants to fight with the monsters. I wonder if he has the strength to do so. I don't know. Every time I see Madman Su, I feel that his progress is too fast. I wonder how Madman Su will break through this situation. I actually think that even Sun Dome and the others were saved because of Madman Su. This kind of killing trap definitely won't be able to trap him. Some people were full of confidence in Su Yan. The spectators were in an uproar. First of all, this area had been sealed, so it was difficult for news to spread. But this scene of divine light shooting into the heavens left them both surprised and delighted. Many cultivators really didn't want Su Yan to die prematurely. They wanted to see him climb up, challenge the situation of the universe, and carve out a bloody path. How was this possible? The Dragon Sparrow was alarmed. How could this be? Su Yan had clearly suffered heavy injuries, and it was impossible for him to climb up in a short period of time. With such serious injuries, even Sun Dome and the others would need to spend time recovering. But in just a few days, Su Yan was actually standing at his peak condition. It felt like a dream. With the help of the heaven-mending technique, it was too easy for Su Yan to recover. Although his injuries were serious, they hadn't reached the point where Su Yan was at the end of his rope. Are you all mute? No one dares to come? Su Yan stood tall between heaven and earth. His hair danced in the wind, and his words shook the world. He coldly shouted, "Where is the courage from before? Of course, you can all come at me together." These words infuriated the group of demons. They had come with thousands of men and horses, but Su Yan wanted to fight against all of their fighting soldiers by himself. The Blue One angrily rebuked, "Su Yan, as long as you aren't a god, even the heavens won't be able to save you today. You're about to die, yet you're still boasting here. I think we should cripple him, cripple his cultivation, and hand him over to the ancestral hall." Demonic chi surged in this area. The fury of the group of demonic beasts erupted and surged violently. The situation was extremely dangerous. The heavens and the earth were suffused with an oppressive aura. Who would believe that Su Yan would be able to escape? This place was already under the control of the demon region. Su Yan could not escape even if he had wings. Stop talking nonsense. Just capture him alive and break his legs. I don't think he has any self-awareness at all. Shen Hong Yun's eyes shot out golden lightning. With a command, the entire area was about to be shattered by the sound of killing. Hordes of demons rushed out in anger. Ferocious beasts rushed out, and vicious birds covered the sun. Rumble. Heaven and earth rumbled from being trampled. This was the sound of metal spears, accompanied by a sky-splitting murderous roar. Just like this, the demon soldiers that swarmed over from all directions uniformly charged over. Just the energy ripples that gathered from all directions were already sufficient to suppress Su Yan's sharpness. It's starting. Madman Su's aura can't be seen clearly. The spectators were alarmed. This battle was too big. There were too many cultivators from the demon region charging over. They had already covered Su Yan and were about to devour him. Swoosh! At this moment, the killing zone filled with surging demonic chi suddenly froze. It was as if time had stopped flowing and space had stopped moving. The entire world seemed to have fallen into a state of stillness. Forbidden Array. Long K hurriedly reminded, but it was too late. The group of demonic beasts had already rushed over. Facing the Forbidden Array, cultivators below the Great Tao Realm would be sealed in a single move. It was very difficult for them to move under the pressure of the Forbidden Array. Of course, because there were too many cultivators rushing over, the Forbidden Array couldn't be maintained for too long. However, Su Yan had grasped a total of 5 sets of Forbidden Array. This was a number that Long K didn't expect. Rumble. In the stillness of space, heavenly sounds exploded, rumbling endlessly. It was as if an earthquake had occurred in the world. In the scene of heaven and earth shaking, the immortal light of the great Tao soared into the sky, cutting apart the demonic chi that filled the sky. It was a staff that was being unsealed. With rumbling sounds, it was as if a giant pillar that supported the heavens was being grasped by Su Yan, erupting with terrifying fluctuations. Kill! Su Yan roared. His aura surged like a bull, peerlessly valiant. His legs bent. The moment he leapt up, it was as if a true dragon had emerged from the sea. The energy ripples released from his treasured body swept through the sky, about to collapse the heavens. That immortal iron staff finally erupted. Held by Su Yan's arms, it swept through the world of demonic chi that filled the sky. This world began to explode as it trembled, as if a great collapse had occurred. It was as if a great dam had burst open. The strength that the immortal iron staff recovered was extremely domineering, looking down on everything in its path. Boom! It was as if a small world had been blasted apart. A large crack appeared in the region, filled with surging demonic chi. It was like a great rift valley dyed in blood, crushing batch after batch of demon region soldiers. Countless corpses fell from the sky. Kill! Su Yan rushed into the clouds, his roar shaking the world. There were even giant mountains that were destroyed, countless rubble shattered, tens of thousands of trees exploding because of this. The demonic chi that covered the sky was scattered, shattered by Su Yan's roar. A golden iron ox filled this region, the sounds of ox roars shaking the stars in outer space. The sound was so great that it shook everyone's hearts. It was difficult to count the number of demon race creatures that died. This was a scene that made one tremble. It was as if a waterfall of blood was pouring down from the sky, dyeing the fragmented earth red. The spectators were all stupefied. They raised their heads to look at all of this, as if they saw a heavenly deity rise into the sky, dominating heaven and earth. His roar shattered many demon race creatures, to the extent where that immortal iron staff was brandished, killing large amounts of demon race soldiers. When facing an extreme overlord of the younger generation, the half-Tao realm is nothing more than paper before him. Someone muttered to himself. However, Shen Hongyun did not expect Su Yan to have a Forbidden Realm formation, and even had such a shocking weapon. This caused him to miscalculate, and this loss made him feel a little pained. However, the following scene caused Shen Hongyun's expression to become abnormally ugly. In this world filled with killing intent and the furious demon race, one after another, the demon race experts charged over. The Forbidden Realm formation could not lock them down and could only slow down their strength a little. However, when a large group of demon soldiers charged towards Su Yan, a pill furnace exploded. It was as if a prehistoric giant beast had shaken the area. The terrifying aura of the giant beast was terrifying. One after another, the projections of the giant beast filled the entire area. There were a total of 9 blurry and mysterious projections. They seemed to reside in one immortal cave after another. They did not reveal their true bodies, nor did they reveal their true forms. However, their auras were terrifying. All demon race creatures felt a reverence that came from their souls. They wanted to kneel down and kowtow to each of these mysterious creatures. The 9 blurry light projections spewed out mysterious balls of light that pierced into the bout-sized body. The Tai Baokai crawled up and howled. It let out loud roars one after another, as if a golden panda was awakening. A terrifying aura flowed out of its body, as if it wanted to split the sky. How is this possible? Could it have stepped into the great Tao realm? The dragon sparrow could not help but be shocked. It looked at the Tai Baokai in disbelief. Even a bloodline as powerful as it could not control itself from prostrating in worship. Just how strong was the Tai Baotsai's bloodline? Could it be that the sovereign bloodline really flowed in its body? Bang, bang, bang. Under the shocked gazes of all around, Su Yin made his move at the instant the Baokai erupted. He was fast to the extreme. His martial Tao heavenly eye was opened wide, and he used shrinking earth into an inch. He moved at an extremely fast speed and switched positions within the forbidden formation. This was a cruel massacre. Taking advantage of the demon race's moment of panic, Su Yin began a massacre, bathed in blood. All of you die for me. Su Yin's entire body emitted an iron-blooded battle intent. He had to kill a group of enemies as soon as possible. Otherwise, they would not be able to kill their way out. In fact, the longer they delayed, the more powerful enemies they would attract. Kill. Su Yan's eyes were red from killing. The sky was filled with demon race corpses, and many of them were smashed into meat paste by the immortal iron rod. Roar. The Tai Baotsai's aura surged. It spat out a golden bamboo that suspended above its head. It scattered down tens of thousands of lightning bolts, striking in all directions. At the same time, the Tai Baokai pounced. It raised its large claws like a true dragon, stretching out its claws. Endless archaic dragon might coiled around it, as if a living true dragon had come out of its cage. The demon race experts targeted by it trembled and were torn to pieces by the Tai Baotsai's claws. The sovereign bloodline. The green wand was shocked. It felt that the pure sovereign bloodline flowed in the Baotsai's body. Otherwise, how could it have such an astonishing bloodline might? Bastards, what are you all still standing there for? Attack immediately and kill them. Shen Hongyun was furious. This was really a humiliation. They had charged over full of confidence, thinking that they could easily suppress Su Yin and the Tai Baokai. However, who would have thought that they would suddenly become so strong? In fact, even the Tai Baokai had the battle prowess of the great Tao realm. Don't show any mercy. Cut the Gordian knot and charge over. Things might change if we delay. Don't waste words with lunatic Su anymore. Directly suppress and bring him away. There will be plenty of time to interrogate us about what we want to know. One after another, the demon race experts with terrifying auras revived. It was as if over 20 divine furnaces were burning here. Their auras were too strong, and there were even 5 who had cultivated great Tao domains. Charge over and kill them. The group of demons was also stimulated. Thousands of demon race soldiers charged over madly. There were demon race experts who operated great offensive techniques, and there were also experts who took out precious treasures. In this world, dark clouds covered the sky, and demonic chi filled the starry sky. Everything was filled with great fear, exuding all kinds of ferocious auras. It was as if the world had returned to a barbaric era. How extravagant! To actually mobilize a great army just to kill lunatic Su. Is it because lunatic Su is too strong, or is there no one among the younger generation in the demon race? The spectators were all terrified. This commotion was too great, but it was just to target Su Yin and the Tai Baokai. Everything within a range of 10,000 miles was going to sink in and be blasted into ashes. Bring it on. Su Yin soared into the sky, five-colored divine light surging from his body. That was an aura that could suppress all living things in the universe being released. A pair of huge wings suddenly spread out from his back, and the aura of the ancestral phoenix entwined around them. Boom! The huge wings soared into the sky, collapsing the sky. Boundless divine force shattered a large number of demon race soldiers, almost splitting open a vast ocean. The scene was extremely spectacular. Kill. Chapter 502. This secret art is the immortal phoenix wings. The world seemed to have sunk into darkness. The demonic aura was too dense, covering the sky. Endless demon soldiers charged over. There were even demon race experts who activated their great divine abilities, starting to suppress Su Yin. All of this was too fierce. Terrifying energy fluctuations swept down. Many people felt that Su Yin was finished, that he would be forcefully suppressed in a single exchange. However, no one expected him to be so ferocious, able to kill his way through such a lineup. When the ancestral phoenix wings awakened, heaven and earth collapsed. Rocks exploded, and a large number of demon soldiers were shattered. Terrifying. The ancestral phoenix wings was too domineering, sharp to a peerless extent. This was the ancestral phoenix secret art that was known as one of the strongest divine abilities in history. Even a combination of secret arts was astonishingly powerful, containing all kinds of unbelievable abilities. The ancestral phoenix wings was known for its speed. At the same time, it hid the Tao of slaughter. With the power of the ancestral phoenix wings, it swept through the space, scattering boundless killing intent, accumulating power, causing a large number of demon soldiers to be terrified. They felt that their bodies were starting to explode uncontrollably. Impossible. This blue lawn was trembling. Even its body was injured. In its understanding, the immortal phoenix wings couldn't possibly be so powerful. However, the divine ability that Su Yin was using looked similar to the immortal phoenix wings. It was just that the difference in power between the two was too great. The ancestral phoenix wings had many transformations. Boom! With a flap of the ancestral phoenix's wings, the mountains collapsed and the earth split apart, causing blood to gush out. Su Yin was like a divine king that had leaped over, his black hair that was like a waterfall draped over his shoulders, and his moves were grand. Kill! He let out a loud roar, his battle blood burning. The murderous aura all over his body was too dense. He swung the immortal iron staff in a domineering manner, smashing the enemies in all directions. The Baokai carried Su Yin and brought out the golden bamboo to sweep through the surrounding soldiers. It was filled with hatred. If they were all at the Great Tao realm, there would be no need to fear them. They would definitely be able to kill all of them. After all, Su Yin had the force armor to make up for his lack of cultivation. He wasn't afraid of experts who had comprehended the Great Tao domain. However, there were simply too many experts charging over. Even with Su Yan's tyrannical fighting strength, he was still shaken to the point of suffering internal injuries in the face of this mountainous and ocean-like pressure. Kill! He roared angrily, his eyes turning red as he fought madly. He even activated a second Forbidden Realm formation. As long as he had the Forbidden Realm formation in hand, Su Yin would have room to maneuver around. As long as he could hold out for a period of time, he would be able to slaughter his way out. I don't believe he's made of iron. Even Shen Hongyun had made his move. The scales all over his body made clanging sounds as demonic qi surged from his body. He took out a long spear and charged towards the battlefield. The battle was incomparably intense. Endless storms surged forth furiously, and billowing demonic energy covered the sky. It was as if they had transformed into a super-strong prison. The various rulers of the demon realm had awakened amidst the killing trap. They were like gods and devils erupting as they attacked Su Yin. This is the Great Tao origin brush. Even Shun Hongyun's eyes were red as he saw Su Yin bring out the Great Tao Origin Brush. This was a dream-level treasure with a huge potential for growth. In the hands of a mystical sect expert, it would be like adding wings to a tiger. This world was dyed red with blood, and the battle was intense. However, the spectators all knew that this kind of battle could not last for too long. Does Su Yin still have a chance of killing his way out? Who knows? But this time, Madman Su is trapped here. The demon realm has sent a large number of troops here. It's really strange. I'm afraid that there's a problem among them. The demon realm should have long had their eyes on Madman Su. Yes, even the ancestral hall can't do it. Could it be that there's a problem with the people around him? Some people felt that when there was a great reward, there would definitely be a brave man. This brave man was the Dragon Sparrow. The Dragon Sparrow was also trembling in fear. This kind of young overlord could not be eliminated. In the future, he would definitely be a fatal threat to it. Use the Great Tao Domain to suppress him. Shen Hongyun gradually found Su Yan's weakness. In an instant, the 5 Great Path Domain cultivators unleashed their strongest combat power. This world was filled with a strong sense of oppression. Even with the Forbidden Zone matrix, it was difficult to seal off the Great Path Domain cultivators. The power of the Great Tao descended from the sky like a sea, pressing down on Su Yan's shoulders like thousands of mountains. Ah! Su Yan roared angrily. The blood and qi in his body boiled, and the ancestral phoenix wings exploded. But no matter how strong Su Yan's strength was, in the face of this kind of suppression, he still felt powerless. Boom! A large black seal smashed over and hit Su Yan's back. This large seal hit Su Yan so hard that he staggered and almost fell to the ground. In front of him, Shun Hongyun's murderous aura surged out. He smiled cruelly and took out his battle spear. He wanted to pierce Su Yan's chest and lift him up. Buzz! At the critical moment, a pair of giant wings rose from Baotsai's back. It was as if it had turned into a divine phoenix that had been reborn from the fire. Suddenly, it spread its wings and soared into the sky. Its treasured body was surrounded by the phantom of a divine phoenix. Just like that, the battle spear missed. Shen Hongyun sneered. How much longer can you guys hold on? Continue to suppress them and shake them to death. Su Yan's eyes were filled with the flames of war. If he was really forced into a corner, he could directly use the dragon totem. He believed that with the might of the dragon totem, it would be enough to destroy the entire battlefield and kill all the cultivators. But Su Yan wouldn't use the dragon totem unless it was a critical moment. In fact, Su Yan felt that it was too much of a waste to use it on them. Roar! Bao Kai roared while wearing the divine battle armor. This battle was too cruel for them. After all, they hadn't stepped into the Great Tao realm yet. It was extremely difficult for them to risk their lives here against a group of lords. It's over. Lunatic Su probably won't be able to escape. The demon region had sealed off this world, and a large group of lords had charged over. Now, they were joining forces to besiege Su Yan. Anyone who saw this scene would feel their scalp go numb. Even if Su Yan's battle prowess was 1 level higher, he wouldn't be able to hold on for too long. Scoundrel, if it wasn't for the Forbidden Region array, he would have been killed by us a long time ago. This was the space enveloped by the Forbidden Region array, which helped to reduce the pressure on Su Yan by quite a bit. However, that was all. After all, there were too many lords of the universe charging over. The vast area exploded. One after another, great beings of the demon race who had comprehended Great Tao domains revived. They constructed Great Tao seals that sealed off the sky and the land, forcefully suppressing Su Yan. They wanted to completely exhaust his foundation. Kill! Su Yan let out a furious roar. His immortal iron staff blazed with flames that soared into the sky. He had almost given up on all of his defenses. His strongest attack was to smash the Great Tao domains that were descending from the sky. If he didn't have the immortal iron staff, it would be very difficult for Su Yan to hold on. The iron staff glowed, and Great Tao celestial light gushed out. Su Yan swung it around and smashed the Great Tao domains. However, Shun Hongyun and the others weren't incompetent. All sorts of terrifying mystical abilities were unleashed in unison towards Su Yin, causing his entire body to tremble violently. Fresh blood seeped out from the corners of his mouth, and he almost fell off the back of the Baokai. Buzz! The Tai Bao's size speed was very agile. Su Yin passed the divine spirit battle armor to it to protect his body. The power of the great Dao domains couldn't injure the Tai Baokai. It carried Su Yin and soared into the sky. Su Yin was bathed in blood. He stood on the Bao'Cai's back and waved his immortal iron staff continuously to attack the great beings that were charging toward him. The battle was getting more and more intense. The great beings of the demon region were truly angered by the fact that they couldn't take him down after a long time. The murderous intent that surged forth became even more brutal. The heavens and the earth were densely covered with endless great Dao heavenly marks, causing Su Yan's entire body to tremble. Even the Baokai was on the verge of collapse. It was very difficult for the divine spirit battle armor to block such powerful attacks. There were also killing weapons that descended from the sky. They were extremely ferocious. The Baokai roared angrily. It rushed forward with the divine spirit battle armor draped over it. It raised its big round head and activated the power of the divine spirit battle armor to block the killing weapons of Sect. Damn it! The Baokai screamed miserably. Its skin and flesh were lacerated, and the top of its head was about to be overturned. Its entire body was covered in blood, and it emitted a terrifying aura. It opened its mouth and spat out golden bamboo. The bamboo spewed out tens of thousands of golden lightning bolts that danced between heaven and earth, shattering a large number of demon soldiers. Kill! Su Yin roared angrily. The immortal iron staff smashed forward and destroyed the killing weapons of Sect. Under the endless pressure, they struggled frantically, and their injuries became more and more serious. This area was filled with a murderous aura. Rivers of blood flowed, and corpses were strewn everywhere. They won't be able to hold on much longer, Shen Hongyun said coldly. They won't be able to hold on for much longer. Use 10 breaths of time to take them down. From the start of the battle until now, less than half an hour had passed. Do you think I'm afraid of you? If you don't want to die, then come over. I have my own trump cards to kill all of you. Su Yan's entire body was overflowing with a bloody aura. He looked down on everyone, and his words caused Shen Hongyun's heart to turn cold. Although he didn't know if Su Yan's words were true or false, this person wasn't easy to kill. It was rumored that he had killed a group of great Dao realm experts, even when he was at the Dharma phase realm. Just as the crowd was in a daze, the Baokai, whose entire body was covered in blood, suddenly disappeared from the spot. When he appeared once again, the dragon sparrow was terrified. It sensed endless killing intent sweeping over. Not good. They're targeting me and want to drag me down with them. This is bad. The dragon sparrow's expression changed drastically. Just now it was afraid that Su Yin would attack it, so it didn't get too close. However, it didn't expect that at this time. They still wanted to kill it. The dragon sparrow instantly recovered, burning all of its trump cards. It had worked so hard to set up this killing trap. If it died, then all of its efforts would have been in vain. However, Su Yan's movements were even faster. When the Baokai arrived here, Su Yin had already brought out the immortal iron rod, erupting with his most powerful strength. He descended from the sky, holding the immortal iron rod with both hands and smashing it down violently. No, the dragon sparrow was scared. The might of the immortal iron rod was too freakish. The great Dao domain it had constructed was smashed into pieces. The most important thing was that what made the dragon sparrow tremble was that in order to kill it, Su Yin had thrown out a forbidden region formation that was specifically targeted at the dragon sparrow. Save me. The dragon sparrow's movements were slow. This made it feel cold from head to toe. Its heart was filled with despair. It didn't expect that Su Yin would pay such a great price to kill it. The power of the immortal iron rod had already shaken the dragon sparrow's entire body. The Baokai fiercely smashed into the dragon sparrow's body, causing it to cry out miserably. This place was sealed by the Forbidden Region formation. Its combat strength was greatly reduced, and it coughed out large mouthfuls of blood from the impact of the Baokai. "You're all courting death. Go, they can't hold on any longer." Shen Hongyun laughed angrily. He didn't care about the dragon sparrow's life or death. However, when a large group of experts charged over, a change occurred once again. A thunderous explosion rang out. In the distant world, a large black crack appeared. "What? Quickly block the opening of the seal for me,"